Chapter 649. When their lifespan was nearing its end, they would still have the chance to break through to the next realm and live for another 1,000 years. To any cultivator, there was no greater temptation than this. But under such circumstances, Master still wanted to give the opportunity to his disciple. Wang Daoyuan sighed in his heart. To be able to meet such a master who wholeheartedly thought of his disciple, it could be considered his life's fortune. Don't worry, Master. I've already thought of a countermeasure. Once the clan had stabilized, the disciples would go out to sea and head to other cultivation worlds. Your disciple is only 200 years old now, so I still have plenty of time to go out and explore. After leaving Beiyuan Xiuxian, it won't be a problem to break through Yuanying. Taoist Thunderflame waved his hand and said, "Don't try to coax me. The cultivation world closest to Beiyuan is just south of decimating Heaven Abyss. Not even Yuanying cultivators have the confidence to pass through. How can a Jindan cultivator like you have the ability to do so? Listen to me. Take this corpse core and break through to the Yuanying realm in the future. You have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. If you cultivate to the late stage of Yuanying, you might not necessarily be unable to cross absolute Heaven Abyss. It's really not worth it to waste such a treasure for a dying man like me." Wang Daoyuan sighed and took out the 10,000 corpse Taoist master's experience of the vast sea. "Take a look at this, and you'll know if I'm lying to you." Taoist Lei Yen took the beast skin book and flipped through it for a long time. No wonder the 10,000 corpse Taoist master was so powerful back then. I didn't expect him to be a disciple of a large sect in another cultivation world. But where did you get this thing? Wang Daoyuan replied. After the Taoist master of 10,000 corpses was heavily injured, he hid in the Yellow Spring secret realm north of Mount Huiyan, near the Jewel Mirror Lake Oasis. 200 years ago, two Foundation establishment cultivators went to explore a secret realm and obtained the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse Taoist master. The two of them had an internal conflict, and one of them was seriously injured and fled to the Wang family's territory. I took care of him and obtained part of the 10,000 corpse Taoist master's inheritance. The other was dealt with when I was at the peak of Foundation establishment. Now the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse Taoist master is in my hands. You're really lucky to be able to obtain the inheritance of more than one golden core cultivator. What's even more commendable is that after obtaining such a powerful inheritance, you can still resist the urge to walk the path of refining corpses. Right, the secret realm that the 10,000 corpse Taoist master is hiding in should be the secret realm where the corpse refiners are wreaking havoc, right? So you're saying that these refined corpses were left behind by the 10,000 corpse Taoist master? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Indeed, the 10,000 corpse Taoist master has turned into a ghost cultivator and is hiding in that secret realm. These refined corpses are running around under the control of Taoist master myriad corpses. Taoist Thunderflame sucked in a breath of cold air. This fellow isn't easy to deal with. Why don't I help you destroy him? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "No matter how strong he is, he's just a half-step Yuanying. Once he leaves the Yellow Spring secret realm, he's still not my match. If they kept him alive, he would be able to relieve the boredom of the demons and half-demons in Shanbei. Otherwise, why would I intervene in the affairs of Shanbei? Master, do you believe that I have a way out now? You can use this corpse core, don't worry about me." Taoist Thunderflame chuckled. "You have a lot of ideas. Since you're so confident, I won't interfere." Wang Daoyuan continued. "In addition to the spiritual power of a Yuanying cultivator, there's also a lot of yin qi in this corpse core. I don't know if it can help Master successfully transcend the tribulation." Taoist Thunderflame stroked his long beard. "Not everyone can shatter their core and form their nascent soul as easily as you penta-spiritual roots cultivators. Yuanying is the fusion of essence, energy and spirit. It's the birth of a new life. And the most important thing is balance. Penta-spiritual roots cultivators can easily achieve the balance of the 5 elements. Once their cultivation and comprehension of the laws reach a certain level, it's possible to form their nascent soul without the assistance of spiritual objects. Most cultivators don't have all 5 elements. When forming their nascent soul, They need the assistance of spiritual objects of other elements. In addition to the balance of the 5 elements, they also need to pay attention to the balance of yin and yang. It's fine for ordinary cultivators, but Master is a lightning-attributed cultivator and also has a battle constitution. The lightning-attributed attribute is the most masculine and yang, so it also needs the assistance of some yin qi. The yin qi in this corpse core can save a lot of effort. The Yuanying spiritual power in the corpse core is of the water attribute, while Master is of the lightning attribute. I also have fire and wood attributes. The rest are earth-attributed and metal-attributed spiritual objects. The Divine Weapon Pavilion doesn't lack such things, so it's easy to find them. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan relaxed. I was worried that I couldn't use the yin qi, but I didn't expect to hit the jackpot. Disciple also has some earth essence. I don't know if I can use it as an earth-attributed spiritual object. Taoist Thunderflame nodded. The earth essence is an excellent earth-attributed spiritual object. I don't need much of it, just the size of a fingernail will do. With the corpse core, the other spiritual objects can only be used as a catalyst. As long as it's not lower than the 4th grade, it'll be fine. The Yuanying Heavenly Tribulation is a 5-elemental tribulation. Whether or not the Yuanying can stabilize will depend on how much of the Heavenly Tribulation's power can be absorbed to complete the 5 elements. Wait here for a moment. I'll go find junior brother Yunha and ask for some metal-attributed spiritual objects suitable for forming their nascent soul. After finishing his words, he left the cave. When Wang Daoyuan refined the Kirin seal, he used 1/3 of the earth essence, leaving him with less than 4 inches. After that, he placed the earth essence on the earth-attributed spiritual vein in the spiritual pearl, allowing the spiritual vein to absorb a portion of the earth essence to grow. After the spiritual vein grew to the 4th grade, it no longer needed to absorb the earth essence. Instead, it could allow the earth essence to grow slowly. Currently, the earth element essence was 4 inches and 1 fin long. His soul entered the spiritual pearl and cut off a small portion of the earth essence, leaving only 4 inches long. A quarter of an hour later, Master returned to the cave abode with an angry look on his face. Wang Daoyuan asked, "What's wrong? Martial Uncle Yunha isn't willing to give it to me? Why don't I go to the southern wasteland and slaughter a few 4th grade metal-attributed beasts? Their golden cores should be fine, right?" Taoist Thunderflame took out a golden pearl. "I've got it. But old man Xian Yen insisted on going against me and making things difficult for me. I don't have much lifespan left, and I didn't make any preparations. Even if I form a Yuanying, I might fail the tribulation. There are some things I need to settle. With you around, even if I fail the tribulation, old man Xian Yin won't dare to go overboard. However, I can't let my guard down. I've already ordered Douyin to be transferred to the Clear Glass City. He's almost at the peak of the Violet Palace realm. With you taking care of him, I don't have to worry about him. Also, pass my Purple Thunder Divine Flame to him on my behalf. It can save him a lot of time for cultivation." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "Master, the Purple Thunder Divine Flame has a great influence on your strength. With it, your chances of passing the tribulation will be higher. Daoyin's talent isn't bad either. Without the Purple Thunder Divine Flame, it won't take much effort for him to form his golden core." Taoist Thunderflame shook his head. "I know that as well. However, if I fail the tribulation, the Purple Thunder Divine Flame will be destroyed as well. If our lineage wants to continue on, we need Douyin to form his golden core as soon as possible. There isn't much time left for him. I have to ensure the continuation of our lineage." Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, "I have True Monarch 100 Spirit's secret technique for nurturing spiritual fire. As long as I separate a bit of the spiritual fire's essence, I'll be able to nurture a pseudo-spiritual fire. With the pseudo-spiritual fire and Douyin's minor divine ability, I'll be able to condense the spiritual fire very quickly. The damage to the spiritual fire itself won't be too great. You'll be able to recover very quickly." After saying that, he took out True Monarch 100 Spirit's secret technique for condensing the pseudo-spiritual fire and gave it to Taoist Thunderflame. Not long after he looked at the secret technique, a purple flame appeared in his hand. Above the flame, there were flashes of lightning. The flame seed of this flame was the size of a longan. Afterward, he sent his divine sense into the flame and separated out a pea-sized flame seed. He then used the rootless flame of the purple thunder divine flame to envelop the flame seed. He then gave the pseudo-spiritual fire to Wang Daoyuan. I still need to prepare some magic tools for the tribulation. I'll leave this pseudo-spiritual fire to you. Wang Daoyuan took the pseudo-spiritual fire and gave the corpse core and a small piece of earth essence to Taoist thunderflame. Then he took out the meteorite fire controlling gourd and stored the pseudo-spiritual fire into it. He then converted the wood and fire spiritual energy into lightning spiritual energy and poured it into the gourd to nurture the pseudo-spiritual fire. Chapter 650. The meteorite fire controlling gourd was able to keep the rootless fire from extinguishing, let alone the pseudo-spiritual fire. Half a day later, the pseudo-spiritual fire was completely stabilized. Wang Daoyuan kept the gourd in the space of the spiritual pearl. He would pass it to his brother when he met him. After that, he cultivated in the crafting room of his master's cave. A month later, the damage caused by Master Lei Yen separating the pseudo-spiritual fire was almost recovered. The magic tools to resist the heavenly tribulation, healing pills, and other items were also prepared. At this time, Master Lei Yan's face was rosy. Although it was difficult to hide his decline, he was in good spirits. He came to the crafting room and smiled. Daoyuan, I'm ready to form my nascent soul at any time. Those old enemies already know that I'm trying to form my nascent soul, so they'll definitely cause trouble. Even if they don't dare to make a move directly, it's inevitable that they'll play some tricks in the dark. This time, I'll be relying on you to protect me. Wang Daoyuan replied. It's natural to protect you. Now that I have a 4th-rank upper-grade man-made mystic realm, why don't you form your nascent soul in my mystic realm? That way, you can avoid the interference of your enemies. Master Lei Yin shook his head. With the corpse core, the 4th-rank upper-grade spirit vein is barely enough, but the mystic realm is not stable enough. The power of the Yuanying heavenly tribulation is not comparable to that of the golden core, heavenly tribulation. The entire mystic realm may be destroyed. Once the mystic realm is destroyed, I won't be able to escape. I know your filial piety, but I'm already so old. It doesn't matter if I fail. There's no need to risk a mystic realm. With that, he flew out of the treasured cauldron mountain and headed west. Wang Daoyuan also followed him on a cloud. When they arrived at the heavenly tribulation valley, Master Lei Yin landed on the stone altar in the middle of the valley. The golden core cultivators of the divine weapon pavilion already knew that he was trying to break through the Yuanying heavenly tribulation. At this time, all the idle golden core cultivators of the divine weapon pavilion were waiting near the heavenly tribulation valley. This was a miracle that had never appeared in 10,000 years. If Master Lei Yin succeeded in forming his nascent soul, perhaps others would have a chance in the future. For nearly 200 years, the concentration of spirit qi in Beiyuan Xiuxian had been slowly rising. At most, in 1 or 2,000 years, or at least a few hundred years, Beiyuan Xiuxian might have another level 5 spirit vein. Now that he was here to take a look, he could also gain experience. Forming a nascent soul was not like forming a core, where one needed to absorb a large amount of spiritual energy from the outside world. Most of the spiritual energy came from the golden core, so he didn't need to absorb much spiritual energy from the outside world. In addition, with the corpse core providing spiritual power, he didn't need to meditate for a long time. Taoist Thunderflame took out the corpse core, the earth essence, and a golden pearl. After that, he used the purple thunder divine flame to burn the 3 of them. In less than 10 breaths of time, the earth element essence had turned into liquid. A large amount of liquid also flowed out of the corpse core and the golden bead. He swallowed the 3 balls of liquid into his abdomen and merged them with his golden core. His golden core only had lightning-attributed spiritual power, and it was originally a single entity. If he wanted to shatter his golden core, he would have to fuse spiritual items of other attributes into it. This was equivalent to having other impurities in the golden core. Its strength would be greatly reduced, and it would be easier to shatter. 2 hours later, a purple-gold sphere appeared above Taoist Thunderflame's head. It was his golden core. The golden core expanded rapidly, and its diameter soon reached about 3 feet. Not long after, the golden core shattered, turning into countless fragments. A purple sphere with a diameter of 1 foot rose from between his eyebrows. The fragments produced by the golden cores, shattering slowly, gathered towards the purple sphere. At this moment, a peak golden core cultivator walked forward and shouted, "Senior Martial Brother Thunderflame, Junior Martial Brother Xianyan is here to protect you." After saying that, he flew towards the heavenly tribulation valley. Taoist Thunderflame's golden core had already shattered, and his Yuanying had yet to form. He was currently at his weakest state. If Taoist Xianyan were to intervene now, he would definitely fail to form his nascent soul. Just as he was about to fly 50 miles away from Taoist Thunderflame, Wang Daoyuan used the Black Tortoise Purgatory to contain him. Taoist Xuanyan's head crashed into the Black Tortoise Purgatory's water wall and bounced back. In his fury, he condensed a ball of black flames on his fist and punched the water wall. The water wall shook violently, but it didn't break. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Martial Uncle Cloud Crane, aren't you going to do something about this?" Taoist Cloud Crane was about to speak when a half-step Yuanying cultivator, wearing a black robe, who looked like he didn't have much time left, smiled and said, "Xianyan had good intentions, but he was a little impatient and caused the junior to misunderstand. Martial Nephew Cloud Crane shouldn't get involved in such a small matter." After saying that, he stood in front of Taoist Cloud Crane. The intensity of the Divine Weapon Pavilion's internal strife was beyond Wang Daoyuan's imagination. Someone actually dared to openly attack a cultivator who had just broken through, and even threatened the pavilion master. Since no one said anything fair, then let's do something ruthless. Although Taoist Xianyan was a peak golden core cultivator, he was only a second-rate golden core cultivator. If no one stopped him, he wouldn't be able to survive Wang Daoyuan's attack. Taoist Xianyan continuously attacked the Black Tortoise Purgatory, but he couldn't break it. He was very anxious. Wang Daoyuan added fuel to the fire and slowly shrank the Black Tortoise Purgatory. At this moment, a late-stage golden core cultivator rushed out and said, "Senior Brother Xianyan, let me help you." Before he finished speaking, he was locked up by another Black Tortoise Purgatory. This time, no one dared to step forward, except for the black-robed cultivator. "Junior, how dare you be disrespectful to your elders? Hurry up and release Xianyan and the others." Wang Daoyuan cursed in his heart. This shameless old man, it's too obvious that he's biased. However, he still replied politely, "Senior, please wait a moment. Once my master finishes his tribulation, I'll release them." They didn't dare to wait any longer. If they made a move now, it would be time to settle the score after Taoist Lei Yin finished his tribulation. The black-robed cultivator said angrily, "Junior, you're being rude." After saying that, he waved his hand and shot out a ray of black light, wanting to break through the Black Tortoise Purgatory. Wang Daoyuan took out the White Tiger Blade and summoned 10 sword shadows. The 10 sword shadows simultaneously slashed at the black light. Under the attack of the sword shadows, the black light quickly dissipated. Out of the 10 sword shadows, 5 were destroyed. Wang Daoyuan summoned another 5 sword shadows. The black-robed cultivator's expression turned serious. Although it was just a casual attack, it still contained 60 to 70% of his full strength. Yet it was blocked just like that. Wang Daoyuan also had some confidence in his heart. Although the strength of this half-step Yuanying was much stronger than him, he was not completely defenseless. Taoist Master Yunhe didn't want to cause a ruckus here, so he quickly persuaded, "Martial Uncle, Martial Nephew Daoyuan isn't weak. He's more than enough to protect Senior Brother Lei Yan. Senior Brother Xianyan, you don't have to interfere, right?" The black-robed cultivator didn't say anything else. If they really fought, his faction wouldn't be able to gain an advantage. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Xianyan, you too can leave. Martial Nephew Lei Yin has Daoyuan protecting him." Xianyan and Taoist Master Yunhe cupped their hands and acknowledged. Wang Daoyuan moved the Black Tortoise Purgatory until it was 100 li away from Taoist Lei Yin. Taoist Master Yunhe was completely humiliated by a junior. He turned around and left. In the heavenly tribulation valley, Taoist Lei Yan's purple palace had already gathered all the golden core fragments together. At this moment, the purple palace had also shattered and fused with the golden core fragments. The purple palace phenomenon didn't shatter. Instead, it floated around his soul. His soul was exposed and began to absorb the golden core and purple palace fragments. The more he absorbed, the more solid his soul became. 15 minutes later, his soul absorbed all the golden core and purple palace fragments into his body. His soul became solid. The purple lightning divine flame appeared out of nowhere and approached his soul, gradually shrinking. Soon, it fused with the purple palace phenomenon and turned into a flame pattern that was engraved between his soul's eyebrows. When his soul fused with the golden core and purple palace, it could be called Yuanying. At this moment, Taoist Lei Yan's Yuanying was 3 inches tall and was entirely purple-gold in color. When a Yuanying cultivator had just formed their Yuanying was 1 to 5 inches tall. A 3-inch Yuanying was already not bad. Wang Daoyuan looked at the flame pattern between his master's Yuanying's eyebrows and thought to himself, I have 5 purple palaces. When I form my nascent soul in the future, will the Yuanying be able to fit in between my eyebrows? The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird and Kirin were all pretty good. However, the black tortoise mark was a little awkward. Chapter 651. Yuanying took form, emitting a purple-gold radiance. At this moment, Taoist Thunderflame's strength had already reached the early stage of Yuanying. Anyone who dared to have any devious thoughts at this time would be courting death. At this moment, a gray cloud appeared in the sky above Heavenly Tribulation Valley. The surrounding spiritual energy was clearly converging towards the gray cloud, which was constantly expanding. Soon, the gray cloud's diameter reached 5 kilometers. The speed at which it absorbed spiritual energy increased, but the gray cloud's surface area did not expand. Only its color continued to darken, from a leaden gray to a metallic color, and finally as black as ink. A powerful aura descended, but it did not cover a large area, only 50 kilometers around Taoist Thunderflame. After a quarter of an hour, the tribulation cloud stopped absorbing spiritual energy. Taoist Thunderflame's Yuanying had left his body, and his eyes were tightly shut. On the other hand, the 3-inch Yuanying had a solemn expression. He waved his small hand, and an octagonal purple-gold pagoda appeared. The pagoda was 1 foot tall and divided into 9 floors. Taoist Cloud Crane looked at the pagoda and smiled. Seeing your brother Thunderflame's lineage's heirloom, the purple-gold pagoda, hasn't been used for 10,000 years. It should have fallen to the 4th grade by now. I wonder how much power it still has. The purple-gold pagoda was refined by the first ancestor of Taoist Thunderflame's lineage and had been around for over 60,000 years. It was said that it was a 7th grade magic tool at the beginning, but its grade gradually fell due to lack of sufficient spiritual energy to nourish it. However, its foundation as a 7th grade magic tool was still there, and its strength and function far surpassed that of an ordinary 4th grade magic tool. The 9 floors of the pagoda represented the 9 major attributes of spiritual energy, namely the 5 elements, 3 oddities, and the non-attribute. There was a small door on each floor's 8 faces. There was also a small space inside the pagoda that could seal demon beasts and demons. The pagoda was both offensive and defensive. Using the pagoda to attack an enemy, its powerful suppressive force was enough to immobilize cultivators of the same level. When defending, the pagoda floated beside one's body, emitting rays of light to protect one's body, just like the Yuanying. A green ball quickly descended from the tribulation cloud, about 1 foot in diameter. It looked ordinary, but even from 50 kilometers away, Wang Daoyuan felt a sense of impending doom. The others did the same, unconsciously retreating backwards. The green ball was about to land on Taoist Lei Yan's Yuanying when the violet gold jewel pagoda shone brightly, protecting the Yuanying. Silently, the green ball dispersed into a green mist that filled the sky. There was no shockwave, but the cliffs on both sides of Heaven's Tribulation Valley shook violently. Tiny cracks appeared on the cliffs. On the other hand, the stone altar Master was made of good materials, and was not affected in the slightest. Wang Daoyuan's heart trembled. No wonder Master said that he could not undergo the Yuanying heavenly tribulation in the Green Willow Mystery Realm. The Green Willow Mystery Realm might not be able to withstand such a powerful force. Moreover, Master also had lesser divine abilities. After the 5 elements tribulation, there was still the divine ability tribulation. After all, mystical abilities could greatly increase one's strength. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Naturally, there was a price to pay for the benefits. The minor Abhijna tribulation of the Golden Core realm and the Abhijna tribulation of the Yuanying realm were both a price to pay. The green mist slowly became thinner. After 100 breaths, there was not much of it left. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan saw that Master's Yuanying was unharmed. She was controlling the violet gold jewel pagoda to absorb the green mist. On the violet gold jewel pagoda, the 8 small doors on the floor representing the wood element were all open and were absorbing the green mist. The Yuanying was also absorbing the green mist into her body. After absorbing the green mist from the outside world, the Yuanying began to absorb the green mist from the violet gold jewel pagoda. After half an hour she stopped. The Cloud Crane Town's elder stroked his beard and smiled. It seems that the spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xiuxian is still not enough. This Yuanying heavenly tribulation is much weaker than recorded. Senior brother Lei Yen is unharmed by the violet gold jewel pagoda. This 5 elements tribulation is of no threat to senior brother Lei Yen. What do you think, Uncle Master? The black-robed half-step Yuanying cultivator at the side only snorted coldly and did not say anything. Not long after, a red ball with a diameter of 1 foot fell again. It was not much different from before, but the cracks on the cliffs on both sides were much larger. The 5 elements tribulation was not divided into strong and weak. Being able to withstand the first one without any damage meant that as long as one was well prepared, the rest was nothing to worry about. The Yuanying of Lei Yinjinren was still unharmed and was still slowly absorbing the red mist. Every 15 minutes, a bolt of tribulation would fall. Soon the 5 elements tribulation had all fallen. The Yuanying of Lei Yinjinren was unharmed, but the violet gold jewel pagoda had used up too much of its spiritual energy and had become dim. The 5 elements tribulation had passed, so there was no need for the violet gold jewel pagoda to withstand any more tribulations. He could only rely on his own strength to withstand the rest of the tribulation. The Yuanying put away the violet gold jewel pagoda, and the flame mark on her forehead shone brightly. A flame flew out and stopped in front of the Yuanying. The tribulation clouds in the sky churned violently, and a 3-inch tall purple flame fell from the clouds. The flame burned calmly. Although there were occasional flashes of lightning, it did not seem to be threatening. However, the expressions of the Golden Core cultivators changed. Although their cultivation was not high enough, they could still feel the power of the flame. Soon, the flame fell into the heavenly tribulation valley and turned into a sea of fire. The ravaged cliffs on both sides could no longer hold up, and huge rocks began to crumble one after another. The huge rocks fell into the sea of fire and turned into magma. At this moment, the Yuanying of Lei Yinjinren was surrounded by a layer of purple lightning divine flames. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the layer of purple lightning divine flames protecting the nascent soul was broken. The flame started to burn the Yuanying, but Lei Yinjinren did not give up and poured a large amount of spiritual energy into the purple lightning divine flames. He did not continue to defend, but let the purple lightning divine flames spread out and mixed with the heavenly tribulation purple flames to absorb the spiritual energy within. After a few dozen breaths, the 2 flames completely merged into one. The others could not tell the difference between the 2, and could only look at the purple flames that filled the valley. After 15 minutes, the intensity of the flames slowly weakened. After 15 minutes, the flames in the valley had almost completely disappeared, leaving only a foot-tall purple flame. Lei Yinjinren's physical body was intact. The heavenly tribulation's target was the Yuanying, and not the physical body. At this moment, the Yuanying's body was completely charred and lying on his head unconscious. The tribulation clouds in the sky did not disperse, but slowly turned purple gold. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. The tribulation had succeeded. At this moment, the black-robed half-step Yuanying cultivator in front of Immortal Yunha had a complicated expression. After 10 breaths, he clenched his fists, as if he had made a decision. Wang Daoyuan had long been prepared. They had interfered with his master's nascent soul formation, so he would definitely settle the score. Before the heavenly tribulation, he had hoped that his master would die from the lightning tribulation. Now that the lightning tribulation had passed and the gifts of heaven and earth had descended, his master would become a true Yuanying cultivator. When the time came, even if all of them joined forces, they would not be enough for his master to practice. His only chance was to get rid of Zun while he was unconscious from his injuries. Just as he was about to move, Wang Daoyuan activated a minor divine ability and summoned 5 lifebound magic tools. The black-robed cultivator sensed the power of laws around him and immediately stopped. The younger generation will surpass us in time. You have such strength after forming your core for only 50 years. But this strength is still not enough to stop me. Wang Daoyuan revealed a mocking expression. Soon after, the life spirit fire and Gui water death flame appeared. His master had succeeded in transcending the tribulation. As long as he could protect him, no one would dare to do anything to him, even if he exposed the life spirit fire. If he could not protect his master, it would be difficult for him to leave alive today. Immortal Yunha hurriedly dissuaded him. Martial Uncle Mo Yang, don't make a mistake that will lead to everlasting sorrow. Senior brother Lei Yan has never killed the innocent, and will not implicate your lineage. Immortal Mo Yang was also somewhat hesitant. Wang Daoyuan summoned a ball of Tai golden flames. This silver flame contained an extremely strong killing intent. At the same time, Wang Daoyuan also activated the white tiger sword intent, causing the expressions of all the Jindan cultivators present to change. Even the 2 half-step Yuanying cultivators, Immortal Mo Yang and Immortal Yunha, had somewhat unnatural expressions. Immortal Mo Yang sighed. I'm really getting old. I can't even take down a 200-years-old junior in such a short time. Forget it, I'll wait for martial nephew Lei Yan to deal with him. After saying this, he turned around and flew towards the treasured Cauldron Mountain. Chapter 652. Wang Daoyuan was truly afraid that those who had a grudge against his master would swarm him. No matter how capable he was, he wouldn't be able to hold them off. He reassured everyone, Master isn't someone who holds grudges. As a grand Yuanying cultivator, he wouldn't go so far as to suppress a golden core cultivator. If you act recklessly, you should know the consequences. With these words, no one dared to act rashly. They were all clear about Taoist Thunderflame's temper. He wasn't a petty person. If they didn't act now, only Taoist Xianyan and his helper would be unlucky. The others should be fine. If they didn't succeed, death would be a small matter, and their lineage would be cut off. Even Taoist Mo Yang, a half-step Yuanying cultivator, didn't have the confidence to take down Wang Daoyuan before Taoist Thunderflame woke up. The tribulation cloud in the sky had already turned purplish gold. The purplish gold clouds continued to converge. Soon, a purplish gold ball of light with a diameter of 1 qi descended. This ball of light fused with Taoist Thunderflame's Yuanying. The Yuanying's aura rapidly strengthened. After half a cup of tea's time, the Yuanying woke up. Its aura was also much stronger than before. Soon after, the Yuanying returned to Taoist Thunderflame's body. 100-mile wide whirlpool of spiritual energy appeared in the heavenly tribulation valley. Previously, it was the Yuanying who had been absorbing spiritual energy. His body was still at the half-step Yuanying level. Now that the Yuanying had returned, his body needed to be strengthened to the level of a Yuanying cultivator. The purplish gold clouds in the sky started to drop purplish gold flower petals. At this time, the clouds were already very thin. The golden flower petals wouldn't last for long. The Yuanying heavenly tribulation would damage the spirit veins and vegetation. The purplish gold flower petals were to make up for the loss of spirit veins and vegetation. However, Taoist Thunderflame didn't care about this. He shouted, Daoyuan, I'll leave the remaining gifts of heaven and earth to you. Wang Daoyuan didn't decline. The gifts of heaven and earth from the Yuanying heavenly tribulation, even if there weren't many of them left, were still extremely valuable. He flew into the heavenly tribulation valley and sat cross-legged near his master. He started to circulate the 5-spirit transformation technique. Under the guidance of the technique, about half of the purple gold petals flew towards him. When the petals landed on his body, they turned into purplish gold energy and fused into his meridians. This energy flowed through his meridians and into his dantian. However, it was not ignited by the 5 elements spiritual fire. Instead, it was directly integrated into the golden core. The golden cores of late golden core cultivators were pure gold. After fusing with the energy, purple gold patterns appeared. His cultivation had just broken through not too long ago, so it would be difficult for him to make any further progress in a short period of time. Not long after, the golden core stopped absorbing the purple gold energy. Wang Daoyuan began to circulate the internal refining method of the true dragon body forging technique, using the energy to nourish his 5 viscera. After a quarter of an hour, the clouds in the sky had completely disappeared, and no more purple gold petals were falling. He continued to circulate his cultivation technique to strengthen his 5 internal organs. Half a day later, Taoist Lei Yin stopped absorbing spiritual energy, and Wang Daoyuan also stopped. His physical strength had also improved tremendously. Now that he was only using his physical strength, he could be considered an expert among the third-rate golden cores. When he opened his eyes, he saw that his master had completely changed. Originally, he looked like he didn't have much time left. His face was pale and his hair was dry, but now, his hair and beard had turned black. Not a single wrinkle could be found on his face, and his eyes were bright and full of spirit. His previously stooped waist was now straight. His muscles were bulging, and his blood was vigorous. He looked like a young man in his 30s. Where was the slightest bit of old age? Wang Daoyuan's face was full of joy. "Master, you don't look much older than me." Taoist Lei Yin also smiled. "I've looked like an old man for hundreds of years. I'm not used to suddenly becoming younger." After saying that, he got up and flew towards the east of the heavenly tribulation valley. The golden core cultivators who were watching the show quickly bowed and congratulated him for breaking through to Yuanying. Taoist Yunhe was no exception. Taoist Xinyan and the other late golden core cultivator were so scared that their legs went soft. Taoist Xinyan was more unyielding. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior brother Lei Yan, we've fought for hundreds of years. Now the victor has finally been decided. Since it's already like this, there's no point in saying anything more. If you want to kill me, do as you please. However, I ask that you don't end my lineage." Taoist Lei Yan's face was full of disdain. "Although I have a bad temper, I'm open and aboveboard. Every grievance has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. I won't vent my anger on the younger generation. As for how to deal with you two, the Divine Weapon Pavilion has its own rules." After saying that, he rode a cloud and brought Wang Daoyuan back to the cave. The other golden core cultivators dispersed. After returning to Taoist Lei Yan's cave, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Master, the Divine Weapon Pavilion has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. We're all from the same sect. Even if there are conflicts, it shouldn't be to the point of killing each other. Why did Taoist Mo Yang and the others want to kill you?" Taoist Lei Yin sighed. "It's all an old matter that has been tossed around for tens of thousands of years. This Divine Weapon Pavilion wasn't originally a sect. When it was first established, there were many different lineages. Our lineage was originally called the Treasured Tripod Sect. This Treasured Tripod Mountain is the sect's mountain gate. The many mines nearby are also our ancestral property. Later on, in order to suppress the southern wasteland, the ancient Almighty sent a disciple who was good at refining tools to unite many sects and establish the Divine Weapon Pavilion. The mountain gate was built on this treasured tripod mountain. That disciple who was good at refining tools was the founder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. The formations and main inheritance of this treasured tripod mountain were all left behind by the founder. Taoist Yin, he was the successor of the founder's lineage. The founder of our lineage didn't dare to go against the will of the Almighty. He offered up many properties, including the ownership of the treasured tripod mountain in exchange for a transcendent status. If the disciples of our lineage are in the wrong, as long as they don't betray the human race or the divine weapon pavilion, the pavilion master can't easily touch them. Master will hit whoever he says. That's where his confidence comes from. However, our lineage has declined in recent years, and our status is not as good as before. Otherwise, Zhao Liang wouldn't have had to withdraw from the divine weapon pavilion. As for Daoist and Moyang, they are all from other sects that were united back then. Their status isn't high, and they don't have much right to speak. However, their standards for accepting disciples are low, and they've become more and more prosperous in recent years. Seeing that our lineage has declined, they want to destroy us and get some benefits. You've already made a promise, so Master really can't do it. How do you plan to deal with them? Wang Daoyuan said without hesitation. I heard that the southern wasteland hasn't been peaceful these years. It's better to let golden core cultivators guard it. Daoist Lei Yin laughed. You and Daoist Yin really don't look like blood brothers. Daoist Yin is so honest, unlike you who is full of evil tricks. This move of yours is a bit ruthless, but it's still very useful. Just exile them to the southern wasteland to atone for their crimes. Oh right, the technique you practiced in the Heaven's Tribulation Valley had some dragon's aura. It's the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts, right? Wang Daoyuan nodded. In the Valley of Beasts branch where I found the corpse core, I obtained some inheritances, including the true dragon body tempering technique. Unfortunately, this technique is incomplete and can only be cultivated to the peak of Yuanying. Daoist Lei Yin praised. You're really lucky. This true dragon body tempering technique is the direct inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Although it's not the best, it's not too far off. In the future, the Wang family's inheritance will be ranked 7th in Beiyuan Xiuxian. It's second only to the 4 top powers, Blood Shadow and Zhou. It's even stronger than the imperial family of Qin and Zhao. Wang Daoyuan wasn't surprised that his master knew about the existence of Blood Shadow. Blood Shadow's business had always been high-end, so they had to deal with the top powers. At this moment, Daoist Yin he came to visit. Wang Daoyuan welcomed him into the cave. Daoist Yin he cupped his hands and said, Senior Lei Yin, I'm here to ask, how do you plan to arrange the Yuanying ceremony? And Xian Yin and the others, how should we deal with them? Daoist Lei Yin told him Wang Daoyuan's intention. Daoist Yin he didn't have any objections. According to the sect's rules, they all have to die. Banishment is already the greatest mercy. Chapter 653. Perfected Lei Yin continued. The sect has its own rules for the Yuanying ceremony. Just follow the rules. Perfected Yunhe cupped his hands in acknowledgement and left. Wang Daoyuan remained at his master's abode to seek guidance on cultivation. The only Yuanying cultivator in Beiyuan Xiuxian was a one-on-one tutor. 3 months later, the Golden Core ceremony was held at the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. Wang Daoyin had been transferred to the Qingli market, and had now returned to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. He Yuanqing and the other unnamed disciples weren't particularly talented. Within the Divine Weapon Pavilion, Zifu realm cultivators, who did not have the potential to form their gold core, were considered to be in the middle to low levels. Now that perfected Lei Yin had broken through to the Yuanying realm, their status naturally rose, and they were transferred back to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. As the only Yuanying cultivator in Beiyuan Xiuxian, perfected Lei Yan's Yuanying ceremony was bound to be unprecedentedly grand. Moreover, the Yuanying ceremony's main seat was a Yuanying cultivator's lecture. Naturally, the congratulatory guests were mainly Golden Core cultivators. As the only Golden Core cultivator in the Treasured Cauldron branch, perfected Lei Yin was the only Golden Core cultivator. The task of receiving the distinguished guests fell on Wang Daoyuan's head. Zhao Liang had also followed Wang Daoyin to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. He had also brought the Wang family's gift. Thus, he and He Yuanqing were in charge of the ceremony. The number of Golden Core cultivators, who came to congratulate them, was more than the previous auction in Zhou. All the cultivators with Golden Core cultivators in Beiyuan Xiuxian had sent their representatives. Wang Daoyuan ran into many acquaintances. Cultivator Flying Sand from the Flying Sand sect had always obeyed the Divine Weapon Pavilion. In addition, He was close to Wang Daoyuan, and was the first to come over to congratulate him. He was still an early-stage golden core cultivator, so he didn't dare to speak too much to Wang Daoyuan. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they entered the mountain under the guidance of the Divine Weapon Pavilion's Zifu disciples. Chu Cheng and Wu Xiao were among the Wu and Chu cultivators who had come to congratulate them. At the beginning of the year, he had teamed up with them in Mingsha Plains. After encountering the flying sand bandits, Wang Daoyuan separated from everyone and no longer had any contact with them. Right now, they were only at the late Zifu stage, and so Wang Daoyuan didn't say anything to them. The cultivator surnamed Li, who had been treated in the Zhou nation previously, also came to congratulate him. He chatted with Wang Daoyuan for a long time. What surprised Wang Daoyuan the most was that Song Yan and the sixth prince had actually come in person as well. Wang Daoyuan didn't have anything to say to the two of them, so he just said a few words in accordance with the rules, then was led away by the Zifu disciple. However, Song Yan's gift was not light at all. There were several hundred kilograms of 4th-tier refining materials and 34th-tier upper-grade Xianyuan spirit replenishing pills that were secretly passed down in the Kingdom of Song. In the past few years, the Song nation had not been having a good time. After fighting with the Zhao nation, the Qi nation, Chu nation, and Wu nation all launched probing attacks on the Song nation. The state of Song only had 12 golden elixir experts left. Apart from Song Yan, there were no other capable experts. Even if it was just a probing attack, the Song nation still had a hard time dealing with it. Now that they had just repelled the attacks of the three nations, the Song nation had also suffered great losses and urgently needed to recuperate. The reason they sent such a gift was most likely to curry favor with Taoist Lei Yan, so that the Divine Weapon Pavilion could lift the ban on doing business with the Song clan. The Zhao nation had sent their imperial minister, Zhao Jinghua. The Zhao nation had only recovered 70 to 80% of their industries, so they couldn't bring out anything good. They only sent some 4th-tier refining materials. The Qin nation sent their emperor's younger brother, Prince Jingyang. Wang Daoyuan didn't have much of a relationship with him, so they only exchanged a few pleasantries. Then came the Zhou nation's people. The Zhou emperor's younger brother, Prince Linjiang, brought the Zhou nation's crown prince, Zhou Jingyuan, to congratulate him. Zhou Jingyuan had already reached the early golden elixir realm. Forming his golden elixir at 200 years old was already considered first-rate. As soon as he saw Wang Daoyuan, Prince Linjiang cupped his hands and said, "Congratulations to Taoist Lei Yan for breaking through the Yuanying realm and becoming the #1 person in the world." Wang Daoyuan hurriedly returned the greeting. Prince Linjiang continued, "My niece Zhou Jingyan is the apple of my brother's eye. In terms of appearance, she is also one of the best in the world. Now that she has formed her golden elixir, I wonder if little friend is interested in marrying her?" Although the Zhou nation's status was extremely high, it was also very awkward. Before the various nations competed for hegemony, their strength was on the trend of surpassing the 4 top forces. The 4 top forces didn't want another force to appear that could suppress them, so they joined forces to suppress the Zhou nation. Now that the Zhou nation wanted to improve their strength, the best choice was to build a relationship with Taoist Lei Yan. Wang Daoyuan couldn't reject Prince Linjiang's request directly. After all, the status of the Zhou nation's princess was comparable to the direct descendants of the 4 top forces sect masters. Wang Daoyuan could only send a voice transmission to the two of them. "Don't blame me, Prince Linjiang. I already have a Dao companion, who is also a distant branch of the Zhou nation. In terms of seniority, I should call you second brother-in-law. It's inconvenient to announce this matter, so I hope second brother-in-law and nephew Jingyuan won't spread it." Hearing this, Prince Linjiang's face lit up. It was good to be able to recognize relatives. After a few polite words, the two of them followed the Purple Mansion sect disciples into the mountain gate. Wang Daoyuan even patted Zhou Jingyuan's shoulder, acting like a loving elder seeing an outstanding junior. Zhou Jingyuan's face darkened, but he didn't dare to say anything. Next was the Wind Snow Deity Palace's Taoist Flying Snow. This person was also the direct disciple of the Wind Snow Deity Palace's sect master. This person should be the next sect master of the Wind Snow Deity Palace. There was nothing to say about her appearance. She was mainly in charge of the Wang family and the Wind Snow Deity Palace's face-retaining pill business. However, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to appear when doing business, so the 12th uncle was in charge of these matters. In order to prevent being strangled to death by Zhou Luan, Wang Daoyuan only said a few polite words. Next were the people from the Archaic Mysteries sect. This time, it was still Taoist Heaven Diviner leading Xian Jiuxiao. Xian Jiuxiao's cultivation progress wasn't slow. His age was similar to Wang Daoyuan's, maybe even younger. Currently, he was already at the early golden core stage, and not far from the middle golden core stage. Seeing the two of them arrive, Wang Daoyuan quickly cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Senior Heaven Diviner, greetings Xian Daoyu." Taoist Heaven Diviner smiled and said, "When little friend was at the early Purple Mansion sect, I took a look at your fate. It had the appearance of yuanying. In less than 100 years, you're already at the late golden core stage. Now, I don't dare to look at little friend's fate." Wang Daoyuan chatted with the two for a while. The cultivators from the Tai Sword sect arrived. They were Taoist Swordless and Kuei Jian. Their master, Taoist Black Thunder, was much older than Taoist Thunderflame, and had already passed away more than 10 years ago. Taoist Swordless was at the late golden core stage, while Kuei Jian had already formed his core. After greeting Taoist Swordless and Taoist Swordless, Taoist Heaven Diviner entered the gates of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Greetings Senior Apprentice Brother Swordless and Kuei Jian." Taoist Swordless laughed. "No need to be so courteous, Junior Apprentice Brother. It's only been 30 years since Junior Apprentice Brother's Golden Core ceremony. I didn't expect Junior Apprentice Brother's cultivation to have already caught up to mine. Kuei Jian, learn a bit more." Kuei Jian didn't care at all. Master's teachings can't compare to Junior Apprentice Brother Daoyuan's, so let him owe me a favor. The golden core powers of Beiyuan Xiuxian had all arrived, and Wang Daoyuan didn't need to continue receiving guests. He brought Taoist Swordless and Kuei Jian into the gates, arriving at the Divine Weapon Pavilion's auditorium. Taoist Swordless handed over a gift box and a gift list to Zhao Liang, and He Yuanqing at the door. He Yuanqing took the gift list and sang, "Tai Sword Sect, Jade Sword Divine Lord," a copy of the Tai Sword diagram. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. Jade Sword Divine Lord was a sect master of the Tai Sword sect more than 40,000 years ago, and had cultivated to the peak of soul formation. At that time, he could be said to be one of the top experts. The copy of the Tai Sword diagram could be said to be a sword cultivator's most valuable treasure. Wang Daoyuan still had a copy of Taoist Swordless copy, but he didn't have the time to study it. The three of them walked into the auditorium, where more than 100 golden cores were sitting. Taoist Thunderflame sat on the main seat, and seeing that everyone was present, he smiled. With the help of Daoyuan's disciple, I was lucky enough to break through the Yuanying realm, becoming the first golden core in 10,000 years. Today, I'm indebted to all of you for coming to congratulate me. So let's talk about your experiences in breaking through the Yuanying realm. Everyone was here for this. Most of the cultivators who came to congratulate him had brought along their most promising juniors. Although they couldn't break through the Yuanying realm, they could listen to Yuanying cultivators preach about the Tao, which could increase their chances of breaking through the half-step Yuanying realm. Chapter 654. Most of the people present were golden core cultivators, and the content of the sermon was mainly about the laws. From how peak Zifu realm cultivators comprehended the laws, to how peak golden core cultivators imitated the laws and used them. Even if they were half-step nascent soul cultivators, they would still gain quite a bit from listening to the Tao. After Perfected Thunderflame finished his sermon, many guests asked him questions, and he answered them one by one. The entire preaching process lasted for more than half a month before everyone was satisfied. Participating in the Golden Core ceremony and Yuanying ceremony was actually to listen to the sermon, and giving gifts was equivalent to paying tuition. After all, they were neither relatives nor friends, so why should they listen to the sermon? Perfected Thunderflame stopped his sermon, and the guests all dispersed. However, there were still a few cultivators who did not leave. Among them were Perfected Swordless, Kuei Jian and Song Yan. Perfected Thunderflame had brought them to his cave abode, and Song Yan was quite perceptive. Since Perfected Swordless and Kuei Jian had stayed behind, they must have something to discuss. A major matter between the top factions was not something a small country's emperor, like him, could participate in. After arriving at Perfected Thunderflame's cave abode, he spoke first, Senior Thunderflame, and Dao Wang. Previously, I offended you and Zhou because I wanted to cause trouble for the three sects of Zhao, and had no intention of targeting you. Now Dao Wang's strength is probably above mine, and I am of no threat to him. Now that Song is facing internal and external threats, it urgently needs some high-grade magic artifacts to protect itself. If Song collapses, Zhao will also face the threat of Qi, Chu and Wu. Senior Thunderflame and Dao Wang, please forgive me, and allow the Divine Weapon Pavilion to do business with the Song family. Song Yan was a hothead. 2 of his clansmen had been killed by Wang Daoyuan, and he probably hated Wang Daoyuan. However, a mature ruler would not put his personal interests above the interests of the country. No matter how unhappy he was, he had to force a smile. Although Song Yan was a little hot-headed, his intelligence was passable, and he was at least better than his father-in-law. Perfected Thunderflame asked, Daoyuan, what do you think? Wang Daoyuan replied, Master, I'm only a guest elder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, and it's not appropriate for me to speak. Speak your mind. Wang Daoyuan said, Zhao State is weak. Having a weak neighbor like Song State is better than having 3 strong neighbors like Qi State, Chu State and Wu State. He did this to give the Song Nation a chance to catch its breath. The Zhao clan's strength would continue to decline for the next 200 years, and they would not be able to expand for the next 500 years. With the Song Nation as a shield, the stability of the Zhao Nation could be guaranteed. Of course, by allowing the Song Nation to recover some of its strength, Emperor Zhao would be unable to take down the 6th prince. Maintaining the current situation in the Zhao country, and not letting the Zhao family do anything was the best for the Wang family's development. Even though the Wang family now had Master as their backer, no one dared to openly deal with them. However, he couldn't ask his master to do everything. Even if no one did anything on the surface, it was hard to say what would happen in secret. It was necessary to balance the various powers. Spiritual Master Lei Yin nodded. Since that's the case, we'll follow Dao Yuan's wishes, and allow the Song clan to do business with the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Hearing this, Song Yan's face lit up, and he repeatedly expressed his thanks. Then, he left the cave abode and the treasured Cauldron Mountain. Spiritual Master Swordless cupped his hands. Martial Uncle Lei Yan, I stayed behind for 2 matters. The first is to discuss the matter of the Southern Wasteland. Ever since the spiritual energy at the border of the Southern Wasteland suddenly dropped several decades ago, and then suddenly recovered, those devil remnants in the ultimate heaven abyss have been restless. In recent years, there have been cases of devil remnants colluding with the Yin devil lineage devil cultivators. They control ferocious beasts and suppress the blood devil lineage devil cultivators in the demon-resisting mountain area. Their actions are becoming more and more rampant. The cultivators that my Tai Sword sect sent out to maintain the ultimate heaven abyss formation were repeatedly harassed by devil remnants and devil cultivators. Now that Martial Uncle has broken through to the Yuanying realm, you can maintain an absolute advantage over the devils. How do you plan to deal with those guys? Spiritual Master Lei Yin stroked his long beard. Rather than making a move now, why not lure the snake out of its hole? For this group of devil remnants to be so rampant, the strength hidden behind them is definitely not weak. As long as they don't interfere with our maintenance of the ultimate heaven abyss formation, we don't need to care about them. Secretly help the blood devil lineage devil cultivators, and borrow their hands to suppress the Yin devil lineage devil cultivators. Lure out the old fellows hidden behind them, and kill them all. If they have any ideas about the ultimate heaven abyss formation, then give them a ruthless one. The duty of the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Tai Sword sect was to suppress the Southern Wasteland and protect the human territory. This suppression of the southern wasteland was not just to kill a few devil remnants. It also had to maintain the ultimate heaven abyss formation. If something happened to this formation, the black qi in the ultimate heaven abyss would destroy the entire Beiyuan Xiuxian. Although the formation that restrained the black qi in the ultimate heaven abyss was left behind by an ancient powerhouse. But after several tens of thousands of years, some small problems would inevitably occur. The cultivators of the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Tai Sword sect would frequently patrol and resolve these small problems. Spiritual Master Swordless smiled. With Martial Uncle here, there is no need to be afraid of them causing any big trouble. Since that's the case, this matter is settled. The second matter of my visit is related to Junior Apprentice Brother Dao Yuan. Rumor has it that Junior Apprentice Brother Dao Yuan has many spirit fires. Among them, there is a metal attribute spirit fire. The aura it emits is rather similar to Tai Essence Gold. I wonder if this flame has anything to do with Tai Essence Gold? Wang Daoyuan answered. This flame is called Tai Golden Flame. It was nurtured in a Tai Essence Gold mine. The difference between the spirit fire's spirit power and Tai Essence Gold's spirit power is extremely small. Spiritual Master Swordless' face was full of joy. This way, my Tai Sword sect will have a chance to repair the Tai Shin sword. Wang Daoyuan did not know what was going on. Spiritual Master Lei Yan asked, "Are you talking about the Tai Shin sword that was broken when suppressing the devil cultivators for 10,000 years?" Spiritual Master Swordless nodded. That's right. The material used the most to forge the Tai Shin sword is the high-grade Tai Divine Gold. The southern wasteland is full of problems. Sect Master and the others want to repair this Tai Shin sword to guard against the devil remnants. But now we can't find Tai Divine Gold at all. Only the low-grade Tai Essence Gold is not enough to repair that broken sword. However, with Junior Apprentice Brother Dao Yuan's Tai Golden Flame, it will be of great help to repair the broken sword. Junior Apprentice Brother Dao Yuan, what's the grade of your Tai Golden Flame now? Tai Divine Gold was formed when Tai Essence Gold reached the 5th grade and underwent a qualitative change. It was much stronger than Tai Essence Gold in terms of murderous aura and strength. Wang Daoyuan answered, "My Tai Golden Flame has just reached the 4th grade high grade. It's not a problem to calcine Tai Essence Gold, but to calcine Tai Divine Gold, it's still far from enough." Spiritual Master Swordless waved his hand. "It's fine. There's no rush. With Junior Apprentice Brother Dao Yuan's talent, it won't take him many years to reach the peak of the Gold Core realm. At that time, the Tai Golden Flame may grow to the 5th grade low grade and barely be able to calcine Tai Divine Gold." Wang Daoyuan owed Spiritual Master Swordless and his 2 disciples a lot of favors. Since they came to ask for help, it would be inappropriate to refuse. He cupped his hands and said, "In that case, let's do as Senior Apprentice Brother says." Spiritual Master Swordless received a satisfactory answer. After chatting for a while, he left with the Kuei sword. Spiritual Master Lei Yin took out 2 storage rings and handed them to Wang Daoyuan. "These people who give gifts are too scheming. They give gifts that you need but I don't. They're really crafty. You contributed the most to my breakthrough to the Yuanying realm, so I'll leave these to you." Wang Daoyuan hurriedly waved his hand. "Master, I'm not your only disciple. Even if you don't want the gifts, my fellow apprentices also have a share. It's not appropriate for me to take them." Spiritual Master Lei Yin smiled. "You're still the most thoughtful, but your fellow apprentices, other than Dao Yin, don't have much talent. It's impossible for them to form their gold cores. Only Chang Sheng and Ming Ting have some hope. I've already prepared the items for Dao Yin to form his gold core. Chang Sheng and Ming Ting's talent isn't too shocking. They're still too early to form their gold cores. Giving them these things won't be of much use. Take whatever you like, and leave the rest for them." Chapter 655. Wang Daoyuan did not decline. The cultivators who came to participate in the Yuanying ceremony had given him many good things. The Tai sword diagram that Swordless Spiritual Master had given him was left behind by a cultivator at the peak of the Soul Formation realm. Although it was not as good as the original, it would not be a problem for him, to comprehend the Tao of sword cultivation from it. He himself was a dabbler in the Tao of sword cultivation, and did not have a complete sword cultivation inheritance. If he could get his hands on the Tai sword diagram, he might be able to perfect his sword cultivation inheritance. He took the 2 interspatial rings and carefully checked the things inside. Apart from Dharma artifacts, there were all kinds of gifts in these 2 interspatial rings. After all, giving Dharma artifacts to the Divine Weapon Pavilion was somewhat provocative. Wang Daoyuan focused on the gifts of books, which were good things that could strengthen the foundation of the family. There were not many gifts of books. He only found a 2-foot-long, 3-inch diameter painting scroll, and a beast skin book. He took out the painting scroll and unfolded it. The painting was of the back of a man holding a long sword without any decorations. When his divine consciousness entered the painting, the scene he saw was completely different from what he saw with the naked eye. At this time, the Tai sword diagram was no longer a simple painting scroll. The scenery in the painting had become alive. However, he could still only see the back of the man in the painting. One strange creature after another pounced toward the man in the painting. Wang Daoyuan also recognized these strange things. They were all demons. The man in the painting just waved his sword gently. He did not even emit sword qi, and the demons were cut in half. Wang Daoyuan had seen this scene before. He had the Tai sword diagram that swordless spiritual master had copied. There was no difference in the moves, but the concept was completely different. In the swordless spiritual master's copy, the sword gave people the feeling that there was only him in the world and nothing else. It was like an immortal who had lived in outer space for a long time, and had never entered the world. However, the painting in front of him gave people the feeling of elegance and freedom. It was after entering the world, seeing through the mortal world, and no longer being bound by the worldly things. Of course, this was only Wang Daoyuan's first feeling. He did not understand it deeply. It was said that different people would have different feelings when they saw the Tai sword diagram. Even if the same person looked at it at different times, they would have different feelings. Many people had comprehended the Tao of sword cultivation from the Tai divine sword diagram, and these Tao of sword cultivation were all different. It wasn't something that could be obtained in a day or two. He put away the Tai sword diagram and took out the beast skin book. This beast skin book was very thin. It only had 5 pages and didn't even have a cover. There were no words on the surface of the beast skin book. However, Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual consciousness to probe it, and immediately saw the familiar contents on the first page. This was the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. It contained the Golden Rock True Form diagram, as well as the content of condensing the Golden Rock's image. He read through it carefully. The contents were clearly of the same origin as the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique in his possession. However, this one was more complicated and complete. The author called himself Golden Rock Emperor. It should be the inheritance he left behind when he was a soul formation cultivator. It was only natural for it to be more complicated and complete. On the second page was the feather blade that Wang Daoyuan was extremely familiar with. This feather blade was complete, and it had changed a lot. It also pursued lethality. The feather blades that he originally obtained were increased by increasing the number of feather blades. However, the feather blades recorded in this beast skin book pursued the lethality of a single feather blade. Only increasing the number of feather blades was very suitable for killing weak but large numbers of opponents. However, when 1,000 feather blades were launched at the same time, it was impossible to concentrate the power on one point in an instant. The lethality was scattered, and it might not be able to break through the defense of an expert. This feather blade was to reduce the number of feather blades as much as possible, gradually reducing it from 1,000. In this way, the same amount of spiritual power would be concentrated on a few feather blades, and the lethality of a single feather blade would increase exponentially. At the same time, the speed of the feather blades and their ability to break through defenses would also be stronger. The third page was created by imitating the Golden Rock's claws to catch prey. It was called the Dragon Capturing Claw. It could be used with the Golden Rock's Phantom, or it could also be used as a close combat spell. The fourth page was imitating the Golden Rock's attack with its wings. It was called the wing blade. It could emit an attack similar to a sword light, but its power was far superior. The fifth page was an escape technique called the Golden Rock Flight Technique, which imitated the flight of the Golden Rock. Rocks were known for their speed, so the speed of this escape technique was naturally not slow. Wang Daoyuan asked perfected Lei Yan, "Master, which faction sent this Golden Rock Fighting Dragon technique? This family is quite generous to actually send a Dharma spell left behind by a soul formation cultivator." It was sent by the Zhou family. The Zhou family's inheritance is also somewhat related to the Valley of Beasts. Only they can take out such a complete inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Moreover, this Dharma spell was given by Lord Riverside. This beast skin book doesn't even have a cover. It should be a last-minute idea that was specially given to you. When you received Lord Riverside and the Crown Prince of the Zhou family, Lord Riverside said that he wanted a marriage alliance. What did you say? How could the Zhou family be willing to give away such an inheritance? Moreover, I see that Zhou Jingyuan's expression hasn't been too good. Wang Daoyuan replied. I only revealed a little about Zhou Luan, and I became Zhou Jingyuan's uncle. However, this second brother-in-law of mine is really generous. He's really willing to give away such a good Dharma spell. Perfected Lei Yin smiled. It seems that the Zhou family still wants to go one step further and be on equal footing with the four top factions. They want to get on my good side through you. By the way, you've been looking for a Dao companion for decades. When are you going to give me a grand disciple? When you're old, you always like to play with children. Ming Ting was quite fun when he was young, but he's too serious when he grows up. Wang Daoyuan also said helplessly, Zhou Luan and I are both golden core cultivators. It's difficult for us to have children. This matter can't be rushed. Perfected Lei Yin got up and walked into the depths of the cave. Wait here. I'll get you something. He continued to choose gifts and found 3 more golden cores of demon beasts. It just so happened that he wanted to refine golden cores, but he was afraid that there were too few for him to practice with. Now that he encountered such things, he naturally couldn't let them go. He took all of them. The rest were some refining materials, pills, talismans, formation plates, and so on. Wang Daoyuan wasn't in a hurry to use them, so he left them for his other apprentice brothers. Not long later, Perfected Lei Yin walked out with a few books. Although I don't have a Dao companion, there are still many Dao companions among the ancestors. After tens of thousands of years, there are still some dual cultivation secret techniques. Take them. Wang Daoyuan took the books and read them. These dual cultivation secret techniques were indeed quite brilliant, but it was a pity that there were no illustrations. He took the books and returned the 2 yin and yang rings to Perfected Lei Yin. Master, among these gifts, I only need the Tai Divine Sword diagram, Golden Pung Fighting Dragon technique, and 3 golden cores of demon beasts. I'll leave the rest to my fellow apprentice brothers. I also have the 100 Spirit True Monarch's secret technique to refine spiritual fire. With this secret technique, refining pseudo-spiritual fire shouldn't be difficult. There are refined corpses in the north of Qingli County and demon beasts in the east. I can't leave for too long, so I'll take my leave now. With that, he took out a jade slip and the purple thunder divine flame pseudo-spiritual fire. Perfected Lei Yin took the items. You're now the ruler of a county and have a lot of work to do. I won't keep you. Now that I've broken through to the Yuanying realm, you don't have to be too cautious. If anyone dares to make things difficult for you, just send me a message, and I'll take care of it for you. There's no need to hide Zhou Luan's matter either. There's no harm in exposing it. My disciple isn't worthy of a hall master of Blood Shadow. If those old fellows of Blood Shadow dare to say anything, I'll take you to their headquarters to propose marriage. A few half-step Yuanying cultivators won't be able to do anything in front of me. Wang Daoyuan repeatedly agreed, but he didn't want to expose Zhou Luan's identity now. Otherwise, Blood Shadow would be on guard, and it wouldn't be easy for the Wang clan's disciples to infiltrate. After chatting for a bit more, he left Treasure Cauldron Mountain. This trip really wasn't in vain. After giving away a corpse core, his master had become a Yuanying cultivator. With such a powerful backer, even if he left Beiyuan Xiuxian, No one would dare to openly attack the Wang clan. He even obtained the Tai Divine Sword diagram and other items. It could be considered a rewarding trip. Chapter 656. He returned to Jade Spring Peak without any surprises or mishaps. The news of his master's nascent soul formation had already spread throughout Beiyuan Xiuxian. The Qingli commandery had also received the news. The most obvious change was the Wang clan's drunken immortal restaurant in Qingli City. It was now packed with people every day. After all, this was a place where Yuanian cultivators had once lived. The food and wine here were praised by Yuanian cultivators. The golden core cultivators of the four top powers had also stayed at the drunken immortal restaurant many times. Although they didn't leave behind any treasures of calligraphy, there were still many wandering cultivators who came to pay homage to the sacred site. Nothing major had happened in Qingli Commandery. Wang Daoyuan greeted his third brother and returned to his underground cave residence. When he entered the rear courtyard, he saw Zhou Luan standing by the gate. She inquired after his well-being. "Your Highness, you've worked hard." Wang Daoyuan felt his hair stand on end. "Hall Master, Lord Linjiang of Zhou said he wanted to marry me, but I refused. I even told them some things about you. I directly addressed Lord Linjiang as second uncle and Zhou Jingyuan as eldest nephew. I only said a few polite words to Wine's Snow Deity Palace's Taoist flying snow. I didn't do anything." Zhou Luan glared at him. "At least you have a conscience." Wang Daoyuan finally relaxed and said fawningly, "Master said he's now a Yuanian cultivator. There's no one in Beiyuan Xiuxian that he's afraid of. There's no need for us to be secretive. It's not a big deal to directly announce your identity. Master will take me to Blood Shadow's headquarters to propose marriage. When do you think we should announce your identity?" Zhou Luan pondered for a moment. "I don't want to announce my identity now. Elder Su doesn't have long to live. Although the Su clan's power isn't small, they don't have any other half-step Yuanian cultivators. As long as he dies, the Su clan's right to speak will be greatly weakened. I can quickly return to Blood Shadow's headquarters. With my abilities, I'll be able to enter the decision-making level once I return. At that time, the younger generation of our family can also infiltrate the headquarters. After being oppressed by Blood Shadow's headquarters for so many years, we can't let them have it easy. I want to turn Blood Shadow into our family's private property." Wang Daoyuan really did not expect that Zhou Luan could have such big ambitions. He didn't think it was a big deal for a woman to be ambitious. The most annoying thing was to use one's ambition against one's own family. It was a good thing to use it for one's own benefit. "What about me?" he asked. "I can't go to Blood Shadow's headquarters to accompany you, right? Besides, can you be at ease if I stay here alone?" Zhou Luan smiled and said, "After you got the corpse core, you didn't use it yourself, but gave it to Shizuan. I knew you wanted to leave Beiyuan Xiuxian and make your way outside. There has to be someone overseeing Blood Shadow's side. If I leave with you, I'm afraid my family will suffer from Blood Shadow's endless revenge. I can only stay behind to watch over the family for you. But before you go, you must leave the children behind. One will inherit my position in Blood Shadow, while the other will stay in Qingli Commandery and inherit the title of Commandery King. The foundation that we've worked so hard to build must be inherited by our children. Once the children are able to take charge, I'll leave Beiyuan Xiuxian to come find you." "Oh right, did you bring anything back for me this time?" Wang Daoyuan took out the books on dual cultivation and said with a smile, "Shizuan is in a hurry to have a grand disciple, so she gave me some dual cultivation methods. These are all cultivation methods left behind by soul transformation and Yuanian cultivators. They're much more profound than the Cloud and Rain Heart Sutra." Before he had even finished speaking, he had already lifted her up and entered the room. The effects of the dual cultivation secret techniques left behind by the ancestors really were quite good. In just half a year, Zhou Luan broke through to late golden core. Her cultivation had always been about the same as Wang Daoyuan's. In this underground dwelling, she could also use the Scarlet Luan's flames of nirvana to obtain endless fire-attributed spiritual energy from the lava. Although her cultivation had broken through, she still could not stop cultivating. Another year passed. The two of them were currently eating hot pot by the spring in the backyard garden. This thing had already been restored by Wang Daoyuan a long time ago. The Wang family now had around 20 clansmen who were engaged in the path of spiritual chefs. They had also developed various variations of hot pot, making it a specialty of the Qingli commandery. People came and went on the Wanchuan River. The dish of hot pot had also been spread to Linhai Province and Zhou Province. The two of them finished all the dishes on the table very quickly. Wang Daoyuan stood up and stretched. He said with a smile, "Hall head, why don't we continue cultivating?" With that he extended his hand. Zhou Wan slapped his hand away and said with a frown, "Why do I feel like my stomach doesn't feel too good?" Wang Daoyuan was rather nervous as well. Golden core cultivators did not have stomachaches. It was not very likely for them to be poisoned either. These things were all produced in the space of the spiritual pearl. Zhou Wan closed her eyes and inspected her body. A moment later her face lit up. "I think I'm pregnant." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. In his previous life he had always been a bachelor. In this life, he had been childless for more than 200 years. He hurriedly said, "Really? Let me see." Zhou Wan said angrily, "Why would I lie to you? You're so careless. I just got pregnant. How can the child withstand your spiritual sense power?" Wang Daoyuan finally reacted and said with a smile, "I was too happy and forgot about this. This place is close to lava. The child might not be able to withstand it. How about we move to another place? It'll be fine before the child is born. We'll talk about it when the child is born. Is it a boy or a girl? I just got pregnant. Who can tell?" Wang Daoyuan took out the Azure Dragon Pearl, extracted the life force inside, and gave it to Zhou Wan to refine. With enough life force, the probability of the child having spiritual roots would increase. If both parents were golden core cultivators, the child might not necessarily have spiritual roots. It was just that the probability of having spiritual roots was much higher. In Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan's case, the probability of the child having spiritual roots was between 80% and 90%. If both parents were Yuanying, then the child would definitely have spiritual roots. Eating more spiritual fruits during pregnancy could also increase the probability of the child having spiritual roots. Wang Daoyuan didn't lack these things. Since then, the soul-chasing bee's royal jelly, dragon heart fruit, green spiritual peach, and other spiritual fruits were freely available. Zhou Wan could eat as much as she wanted. The third and fourth level spiritual fruits in the spiritual pearl weren't ripe yet, but there were many spiritual fruits in the Green Willow secret realm. Wang Daoyuan ordered the people there to send fresh spiritual fruits every day. 3 months later, Zhou Wan's belly was already bulging. With enough spiritual food, the little girl's life force became more and more obvious. At this time, she was almost like a newborn baby. With such strong life force, there was an 80% chance that she had spiritual roots. After taking out the Azure Dragon Pearl and letting Zhou Wan refine a lot of life force, Wang Daoyuan smiled. "You'll be a father in 6 months. You're thinking too much. Human women do take 10 months to get pregnant, but I'm equivalent to a half-demon with phoenix blood. It might not necessarily take 10 months. It's common for women in the Zhou family to be pregnant for 1 or 2 years. Just wait." Wang Daoyuan wasn't disappointed. A golden core cultivator had a lifespan of 1,000 years. It didn't matter if he waited for 1 or 2 more years. However, the queen bee in the spiritual pearl was extremely dissatisfied. The royal jelly that she had stored for many years was all taken away by Wang Daoyuan. The newly brewed royal jelly was also all gone. Qingli Commandery didn't have any major issues. The only change was that the refined corpses of Shanbei attacked a few demon tribes in the northwest. Most of the low-level demons fled north or west. It didn't affect Shanbei at all. "I'm not in a hurry. Waiting a year or 2 is nothing. It's just that it's too tiring for you to manage the intelligence agency while you're pregnant. Why don't I manage it for you?" Zhou Wan pinched his waist a few more times. "You're thinking about the intelligence agency again. You want to flirt with other women? Don't even think about it." Wang Daoyuan hurriedly begged for mercy. "Please calm down, Hall Master. Don't affect the child." After staying in the underground cave for another 2 months, the 12th uncle sent news that the aquatic demons in the Wanchuan River were restless. 4th-level demons often appeared, but they didn't attack the Wanchuan market. Chapter 657. The aquatic beasts in the Wanchuan River were not a big problem. They did not attack the Wanchuan market, nor did they move towards the Qingli River. They could completely ignore them. If there were beasts that were not afraid of death, then they could be killed. The meat of rank 4 beasts was very nutritious. Beiyuan was pregnant and needed some nourishment. The supplementary herbs for refining the gold formation pill had been gathered. There were also many planted in the space of the spirit pearl, and in the green willow secret territory. If there were a few more death-seeking beasts, the gold formation pill would be enough. Now that he could not cultivate, it was time to try refining the gold formation pill. Before that, he would first refine the jade marrow essence enhancing pill. After his cultivation broke through to the late stage of the golden core realm, his divine sense also improved a lot. In addition, he cultivated the true dragon physical conditioning technique and absorbed the gift of heaven and earth from his master's Yuanying heavenly tribulation. His physical body strengthened a lot. The physical body and the soul also complemented each other. If one of them became stronger, the other would also have some benefits. Now that his divine sense had improved a lot, refining pills was also more convenient. After refining 3 cauldrons of jade marrow essence enhancing pills, his success rate reached 60%. It was not difficult to refine a rank 4 intermediate pill at this level. Then he tried to refine a rank 4 intermediate gold formation pill. Although its grade was only a little higher than the jade marrow essence enhancing pill, the difficulty of refining it was not just a little higher. After all, the gold formation pill was a special type of pill. There were many kinds of supplementary herbs, and more energy in the gold formation pill. When extracting the essence, it required a lot of spiritual power and divine sense to suppress the massive amount of spiritual power in it. With Wang Daoyuan's current cultivation, he could still deal with it. The specific refining method was not much different from refining the jade marrow essence enhancing pill. He just refined it step by step. The first cauldron was not bad. There were no problems extracting the essence of the gold formation pill and various spiritual herbs. Just as he was fusing the essence of dozens of spiritual herbs, a communication jade talisman in the universe ring suddenly emitted a wave of spiritual power. Wang Daoyuan was distracted, and the essence of the spiritual herbs that he was fusing emitted a violent wave of spiritual power. He tried his best to maintain it, but he still could not stabilize it. He could only draw out the spiritual fire and burn all the essences of the spiritual herbs. If his divine sense and spiritual power were not enough, the furnace might explode. Injuring himself was a small matter. Body refining cultivators wouldn't be seriously injured because of this little bit of power. However, it wouldn't be good if it scared Beiyuan and the child. Under the burning of the spiritual fire, these spiritual herb essences were quickly turned into spiritual fire essence. A golden core of a demonic beast could be sold for at least a few million spirit stones, but it was destroyed just like that. With great difficulty, he suppressed the anger in his heart and picked up the jade talisman to check the contents of the message. The letter was from Lu Yuan, the guardian of Guiyan Market. A few demon clans in the north of the mountain were attacked by refined corpses. There were rank 4 demonic beasts that died in battle, and demonic beasts below rank 4 suffered heavy losses as well. The surrounding demonic beasts were a little scared and wanted to ask Wang Daoyuan for help. Lu Yuan had also sent a letter previously. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not want to care about these trivial matters. What did it have to do with the human race? If all the demons in the north of the mountain died, the more they died the better. That way they could make room for the humans. He would let Lu Yuan wrangle with them. If they didn't accept any benefits and didn't give any promises, they could forget about taking action. However, he didn't expect that these rank 4 demonic beasts would be so bold as to threaten Lu Yuan. They even said that if the human race didn't help, they would give up their respective territories and launch a beast tide to attack the south of the mountain. Beiyuan was pregnant for a few months, and Wang Daoyuan was furious. Because these demonic beasts destroyed a cauldron of elixirs, his anger was ignited. He directly instructed Lu Yuan to clearly tell these demonic beasts that the Qingli County would not interfere in the affairs of the north of the mountain. If they dared to take action, their clans would be destroyed. After calming down, Wang Daoyuan continued refining elixirs. This time he was lucky. When he condensed the elixir, he successfully condensed a golden formation elixir. This was considered good. The golden formation elixir was different from ordinary elixirs. Ordinary elixirs would have at most 10 elixirs in a cauldron, but there were far fewer golden formation elixirs. The golden core of an early-stage rank 4 demonic beast could at most produce 3 golden formation elixirs. This didn't mean that the spiritual power contained in a demonic beast's golden core was 3 times that of a human's golden core. The golden formation elixir didn't provide spiritual power for the cultivator to form his golden core. It was just a catalyst. The spiritual power of a cultivator's golden core was mainly absorbed from the outside world. This was also the reason why cultivators with heavenly spirit roots could definitely form their golden core. The golden core that Wang Daoyuan used was from the gray bear that came to join in the fun when the 12th uncle formed his golden core. That gray bear only had an inferior grade rank 4 cultivation and could produce 3 golden formation elixirs at most. The success rate of producing 1 golden formation elixir was more than 30%. In this way, Wang Daoyuan was also a true mid-grade rank 4 elixir refinement master. The rest of the work was to slowly nurture the elixir. After condensing the spirit accumulation elixir pattern, he would place it in the fire eye and slowly nurture it for 2 months. Fifth great-uncle's current cultivation was very close to the pinnacle of the Purple Mansion realm. Once he reached the pinnacle of the Purple Mansion realm, he would be sent to the Myriad Rivers Market to receive guidance from the 12th uncle on the power of laws. His Purple Mansion anomaly was the same as the 12th uncle's, and his cultivation technique was also the overturned sea art. It would be best for him to receive guidance from the 12th uncle. It was estimated that 5th great-uncle would be able to form his golden core within 10 years. He was a cultivator with 3 spirit roots, and his main spirit root was the 7-inch water spirit root. Such talent was considered good, and the success rate of forming his golden core was about 50%. The golden formation elixir could increase the success rate of forming his golden core by 20%. Adding all of them together, it could increase the success rate of forming his golden core by about 70%. The probability of a problem occurring with the golden formation elixir was extremely low, and this elixir was basically a success. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan received another message from Lu Yuan. It said that a few rank 4 demonic beasts were causing trouble in the Qingli County shop in the returning wild goose market. Among them, there were even demonic beasts that wanted to attack the guardian residence. Wang Daoyuan cursed angrily. This bunch of reckless beasts. Zhou Wan walked over and comforted him. My intelligence agency also sent news that there are demonic beasts causing trouble in the returning wild goose market. They're just a bunch of uncivilized beasts. There's no need to be angry over them. Zhou Wan was pregnant, and no matter how serious the matter was, she could not get angry in front of him. He restrained his anger. What kind of demonic beast does Hall Master want to eat? I'll go to Shanbei and slaughter a rank 4 demonic beast. Zhou Wan smiled. Then let's have a bear paw. Please wait for a moment, Hall Master. I'll go to Shanbei and slaughter a black bear. With that, he condensed a ball of red sun true fire in his hand, carried the pill furnace, and rode a cloud towards Shanbei. The golden formation elixir in the furnace had already formed. If there was a problem, and the elixir was destroyed, it would be a huge loss. Bringing the pill furnace with him would allow him to remedy any problems in time. When he arrived in the sky above the returning wild goose market, he saw a bunch of demonic beasts scurrying around. The itinerant cultivators had already fled this place, and all the shops were closed. The southern part of the returning wild goose market used to be the territory of the Netherworld sect, and now it naturally became the property of the Qingli Commandery. Most of the demonic beasts were looking for trouble here. Among them, there were 5 rank 4 demonic beasts 3 rank 4 middle grade, and 2 rank 4 low grade. Among them, 2 rank 4 middle grade demonic beasts were attacking the defensive formation of the Guardian residence. Of course, they did not really attack, and were only scaring the cultivators inside. The demonic beasts looked at the terrified expressions of the cultivators inside the Guardian residence and let out excited roars. Coincidentally, one of the 2 rank 4 middle grade demonic beasts was a black bear. Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to shout and directly took out the white tiger blade, using the sword shadow divine light technique. 10 sword shadows attacked the black bear. This black bear did not have any higher level demonic beast bloodline, and being able to cultivate to rank 4 middle grade was already a blessing from the heavens. In terms of strength, it was only SOSO. Before it could react to the 10 sword shadows flying over, its huge bear head moved. Wang Daoyuan used the tiger roar soul-subduing technique and roared, "Scram!" The 4 rank 4 demonic beasts that were still alive were stunned at that moment. The rank 3 demonic beasts were so scared that they lay on the ground, and some were so scared that they lost control of their bowels. In a moment, the streets of the market were filled with feces and urine. Wang Daoyuan continued, "A bunch of reckless things, why are you destroying the property of my Qingli commandery?" Chapter 658. At this moment, the 4 rank 4 demonic beasts finally reacted. Looking at the black bear that was killed by Wang Daoyuan, they were furious. They bared their fangs and claws, wanting to attack Wang Daoyuan. But thinking of the roar from before, they hesitated. That roar stunned them for nearly a breath of time. In a battle between golden core cultivators, life and death were decided in less than half a breath. If Wang Daoyuan could stun them for a breath of time, he had the strength to kill them. Just as they were in a dilemma, a white-robed man with a snow-white horn on his head flew out of a restaurant in the north of returning Wild Goose Market. He sneered. "Daoyu went a little overboard. My demon race's men are a little reckless. But you killed a mid-grade 4th rank Yao with just one move. You're looking down on us, Yao clan." This demon had an upper-grade rank 4 cultivation and emitted a faint dragon's aura. He should be a dragon. However, the dragon's horn was a single horn, and the concentration of dragon blood was not high. At most, he was a snake that had turned into a flood dragon. His entire body was cold and oppressive. He should be a dragon from the extreme zero ice plains. Compared to human cultivators, a dragon of this level was only a stronger 3rd-rate golden core cultivator or a weaker 2nd-rate golden core cultivator. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength, if he didn't use a small ability, killing him wouldn't affect his pill refining. This Daoyu should be from the extreme zero ice plains, right? If I go to the extreme zero ice plains and attack your spiritual mountain, what will you do? With the demon race's character, if someone dared to provoke them, they would definitely be killed. But the white-robed man didn't dare to say this. Otherwise, if Wang Daoyuan killed all 4 rank 4 demonic beasts, he wouldn't be able to say anything. He could only change his attitude and smile. "My demon race is indeed in the wrong. Please let them go, Daoyu." The demon race feared power and didn't respect virtue. If he let it go, they would definitely go from bad to worse. Humans weren't the only ones who took advantage of others. The demon race was even better at doing this. Moreover, this group of people were the standard bullies who feared the strong. If they admitted defeat now, they would think that the humans were afraid of them. Wang Daoyuan sneered. "Daoyu make it sound so easy. I was refining tier 4 medicinal pills in my cave. These reckless beasts threatened to attack Shannon. I was so angry that I destroyed a cauldron of pills. As soon as the second batch of pills were formed, they dared to directly attack. I had no choice but to bring the pill furnace here. Who will compensate for my losses?" This time the demons were in the wrong. The white-robed man could only smile apologetically. These juniors were too reckless. I, Frost Flood Dragon, apologize on their behalf. I hope that Lord Daoyu will be magnanimous and let them go this time. As for the losses, what does Daoyu want as compensation? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "If that's the case, then take the dead bear's corpse as compensation. I'll pretend that this never happened." Although Han Jiao was a little dissatisfied, he didn't want to continue arguing. After all, the black bear wasn't his family. He cupped his hands and said, I can agree to this matter. However, these juniors have their reasons for causing trouble. They were threatened by the refined corpses. When they heard that Daoyu could restrain the refined corpses, they wanted Daoyu to help them. However, Daoyu didn't give them an accurate reply, so they were a little anxious. Wang Daoyuan's face was full of disdain. So they attacked my business because they were anxious? So I went too far and they had no choice but to do it. If they had the ability, why didn't they attack the refined corpses? The place where the refined corpses attacked is more than 10,000 miles away from Mount Huiyan. What does it have to do with me? When Shanbei was peaceful, we humans were suppressed when we did business in Shanbei. Now that they have difficulties, they want me to be the scapegoat. They don't have any benefits for us humans, but they think of us when they have difficulties. The demon's wishful thinking is really good. I can't be bothered with your business in Shanbei, so don't bother me anymore. Otherwise, it won't be a problem that can be solved with a corpse. Han Jiao wanted to talk nicely and get Wang Daoyuan to agree to help. Now that Wang Daoyuan made it clear, he was furious. Daoyu plan to stay out of this? If we can't protect Shanbei, then we demons don't mind taking over some land in Shanbei. Wang Daoyuan's face was full of disdain. If you have the ability, why don't you dare to fight the refined corpses? Or do you think I'm easier to bully than the refined corpses? If we really fight, all the demons here won't live for more than half a cup of tea's time, including you. If you were a natural flood dragon, you might be able to fight me. A snake turning into a flood dragon, humph? If you're not convinced, you can ask the old dragons of the frozen ice plains to help. I'll also ask my master, Lei Yinjinren, to help. I just don't know if a few level 4 flood dragons can deal with the Yuanian cultivators. Han Jiao heard Wang Daoyuan despise his bloodline and wanted to attack immediately. However, when he heard Lei Yinjinren, his impulse disappeared. Although there were many dragon species in the frozen ice plains, none of them were level 5. No matter how strong the dragon species' abilities were, they couldn't beat the Yuanian cultivators. Furthermore, Lei Yinjinren had abilities. Even 10,000 years ago, such a person was not to be trifled with. He held back for a long time and only said one sentence. If Daoyu doesn't want to help, don't regret it in the future. With that, he turned and flew away from Guiyin Market. Seeing him run away, the other demons naturally didn't dare to attack and left the southern area of Guiyin Market. Wang Daoyuan kept the black bear's corpse on the ground and transmitted his voice to Lu Yuan, who was in the guardian residence. Carry on with Guiyin Market as usual. With that, he rode a cloud back to Jade Spring Peak. After killing a mid-level level 4 black bear, his anger from destroying a cauldron of pills had dissipated. A mid-level level 4 demon beast's golden core could at most produce 4 golden formation pills in one cauldron. When his alchemy skills improved, it wasn't impossible to produce 2 golden formation pills in one cauldron. After returning to Jade Spring Peak, Wang Daoyuan immediately went to the underground cave and placed the cauldron on the fire eye. He used his divine sense to replenish the consumption of the spirit accumulation pill pattern. The red young primordial fire's firepower was too overbearing and wasn't suitable for nourishing pills. The golden formation pill in the cauldron was already unstable. If it took too long, this cauldron of pills would be ruined. What was the price of a golden formation pill? Even if it wasn't 10 million spirit stones, there would definitely be people fighting to buy it if it was priced at 7 to 8 million spirit stones. The cauldron landed on the fire eye. Under Wang Daoyuan's adjustment, the pills quickly stabilized. Zhou walked up and smiled. I really couldn't tell. You're usually as timid as a mouse, but you do have some ways to scare those demon beasts. That frost serpent is famous for being overbearing and not weak. Other than the descendants of those old dragons, it doesn't care about anyone else. I didn't expect it to be subdued by you, Wang Daoyuan proudly said. Do you still need to ask? Don't you know who your husband is? A serpent of the same level that transformed into a flood dragon can kill him like killing a chicken. Go back to the backyard and rest. When the bear paw is done, I'll send it to you. Zhou obediently went back to the backyard. Wang Daoyuan left the underground cave and asked Eighth Sister to help him make the bear paw. Although he remembered many dishes in his previous life, He really didn't eat bear paw and didn't cook often. If he did it himself, it would be a waste of ingredients. It was better to leave it to an expert. Wang Daoyuan quickly carried a huge tray and returned to the underground cave. On the tray was a 3-meter-long bear paw. The bear paw of a middle-grade 4th-rank black bear was a bit bigger. After entering the cave, he shouted, "Hall Master, your steamed bear paw is here." He put the bear paw on the table in the boudoir. Zhou Wan took out a 4th-rank magic sword, cut a large piece of meat, and ate it. She said while eating, "Eighth sister's cooking is really good." After being pregnant, her foodie nature became more and more obvious. Wang Daoyuan was glad that he had a space in his spiritual pearl. Otherwise, he couldn't afford to raise such a wife. 2 months later, the gold formation pill in the furnace finally stabilized. He put away the fire control pill pattern and the spirit accumulation pill pattern, and then opened the lid of the furnace. A strong medicinal fragrance spread out. Even Wang Daoyuan, a late-stage gold core cultivator, felt that this thing was very beneficial to improving his cultivation. He took out the gold formation pill and saw that it was golden. After all, it was refined from a gold core monster, and the spiritual power fluctuations in it were a bit like a gold core. Since they could refine the gold formation pill, the Wang family had a way to become a first-class force. Chapter 659. The medicinal fragrance of the Jinjia pill drifted everywhere, and naturally, it couldn't be hidden from Zhou Wan. She walked out of the cave, looked at the Jinjia pill, and praised, "You're really capable. You even succeeded in refining the Jinjia pill." Zhou Wan had been pregnant for more than 10 months, and her belly was bulging. The little guy also began to be restless, and often made some noise. It seemed that they didn't need to wait for 2 years. Wang Daoyuan quickly stepped forward to support her. "Hall Master, you can't even see your toes. Be careful. Don't fall. If you want to walk, tell me." Although she usually couldn't see her toes, it was even more obvious now. "I'm a golden core cultivator. How can I be so delicate?" Wang Daoyuan echoed, "Hall Master, you're right. You'd better go back to your room and rest first." Zhou Wan didn't insist. She was helped back to the room. She sat on the bed and said, "Since you can refine the Jinjia pill, before you leave Beiyuan, you have to prepare all the cultivation resources for our child. In addition to the Yin-Yang purple jade and the Jinjia pill, you also have to keep the medicinal pills, honey, and hidden cloud tea." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "You're going to be a mother. It's different. You start to think about your child." "Hall Master, don't worry. I got more than 10 pieces of Yin-Yang purple jade from the branch in the Valley of Beasts. There are also 4 golden cores of demonic beasts, and they are all in the middle and late stage of the 4th rank. It won't be a problem to refine 7 or 8 Jinjia pills." In the next few months, Wang Daoyuan didn't refine pills or cultivate. He just chatted with Zhou Wan all day long. Half a year later, when the two were chatting, Zhou Wan's face suddenly changed. She lay on the bed alone and said painfully, "The child is about to be born." Wang Daoyuan knew nothing about midwifery, but there were still some experts in the family. His 8th sister had given birth to 5 or 6 children, so she had experience in this field. At this time, he didn't dare to move Zhou Wan easily. He immediately transmitted a message to 8th sister. "Come to my underground cave residence immediately. It's urgent." 8th sister was teaching a group of family disciples the way of spirit cooking, when she suddenly received a message. Wang Daoyuan said that it was extremely urgent. This was a huge matter for the entire Qingli prefecture. 8th sister did not dare to delay, and immediately flew to the underground cave. Seeing Wang Daoyuan, he asked, "7th brother, what's the big deal?" Wang Daoyuan said anxiously, "Your 7th sister-in-law is about to give birth. You have to help her deliver the baby." She was a little confused. After all, she had never heard of 7th sister-in-law. However, seeing how anxious Wang Daoyuan was, he didn't ask any further, and walked straight into the house. This place was too close to the lava. Any cultivator below the golden core stage would feel uncomfortable staying here, let alone a newborn child. Wang Daoyuan opened a small magical power, and transformed the fire spiritual power in the cave residence into a non-attributed spiritual power. Then, he began to arrange an array to isolate the heat of the lava, so that the environment in the cave residence could be endured by ordinary people. After the array was arranged, he put the imperial magic pendant in the delivery room. This thing was made of mysterious ice jade, and could effectively resist the heat. After doing all this, he was driven out by Eighth Sister. He couldn't help with this matter, so he could only wait in the backyard garden. Although cultivators didn't have to worry about life danger when giving birth to a child, he was extremely nervous when he was a father for the first time. From time to time, Zhou Wan's painful moans came out from the room, which made him anxious. After Wang Daoyuan broke through to the late golden core stage, his spiritual awareness cultivation had been improved a lot. His understanding of the power of law had also deepened, and the duration of his small magical power had also improved. Now he could maintain it for about an hour. But after half an hour, the room was still filled with Zhou Wan's moans and Eighth Sister's busy voice. He didn't dare to close the small magical power. Otherwise, the child couldn't stand it when the fire spiritual power rushed up. He had to take a drop of the 7-leaf ghost face flowers, dew, and continue to persist. More than 12 hours later, there was a loud cry in the room. Wang Daoyuan immediately probed with his spiritual awareness. The little guy was about 1.5 feet long. Eighth Sister was clever, and had already dealt with the child's umbilical cord. Then, she took the child out of the room and said with a smile, "Congratulations, seventh brother. You have a successor. Your nephew's vitality is stronger than a 1-year-old child. He must have a spiritual root." When Zhou Wan was 4 or 5 months pregnant, she already knew that it was a boy. However, he was still very excited and quickly took the child. The little guy was quite heavy, about 8 or 9 kilograms. His face shape was more like Wang Daoyuan's, but his facial features hadn't fully developed yet. He looked more like Zhou Wan. Wang Daoyuan took out a few elixir bottles and said with a smile, "Eighth Sister, thank you for your hard work. Only 5th uncle, 12th uncle, and 3rd brother know about your 7th sister-in-law. Don't spread it out." Eighth Sister took the elixir bottles and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I won't say anything. By the way, the child needs to be breastfed later. Do you want to find a wet nurse?" Wang Daoyuan shook his head. "Don't worry, I have a way." Although he didn't feed a child in his previous life, he still knew about milk powder, and had prepared before. He only needed to feed the child for a few days, and Zhou Wan could feed the child herself. Eighth Sister told him some things to pay attention to and flew out on her sword. Wang Daoyuan walked into the room with the child, and saw that Zhou Wan's face was a little pale. However, her spirit was still good, and the joy on her face couldn't be concealed. "Let me see the child." Wang Daoyuan put the child beside her, then took out some milk powder, made from rabbit milk, and brewed it with spiritual spring water. After the little guy finished eating, he quickly fell asleep. Then, Wang Daoyuan took Zhou Wan and the child to the cave residence by the Jade Dragon stream. As soon as the cave residence was set up, Zhou Wan quickly said, "Let's see if the child has a spiritual root." Golden core cultivators could perceive the subtle changes in spiritual aura. When the child was just born, they could judge whether the child had a spiritual root or not. Wang Daoyuan condensed a thin mass of spiritual aura, which contained the spiritual aura of the 5 elements. He wrapped the little guy in the mass of spiritual aura, and isolated it from the outside world. People with spiritual roots could absorb a very small amount of spiritual aura on their own even if they didn't cultivate in their lifetime. Therefore, people with spiritual roots generally had a much stronger physique than ordinary people. After a dozen breaths, the fire element spiritual aura in the mass of spiritual aura decreased a little, but the other elements of spiritual aura didn't change. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "This child has a spiritual root, and it's a fire element spiritual root. As for whether he has a heavenly spiritual root or a special physique, I can't tell for now." Zhou Wan's face was full of joy. "The child is more like me. I have a special physique. How can the child be bad? What are you going to name the child? He's the eldest son of the county king. You can't call him Dewa, Erwa, or something like that, right?" "I've already thought of a proper name. He'll be called Wang Mingchen." His nickname is fine. Dog Z is good. A lowly name is easy to raise. When we have another child in the future, he'll be called Ergo Z. Thinking about it, when he cultivates to the golden core stage, we can call him Daoist Master Gozi. Zhou Wan's face was full of contempt. It's really good, Daoist Master Erwa. Wang Daoyuan pretended to be angry. You dare to talk to your husband like that. When you recover, I'll take care of you slowly. There aren't many people who know my nickname. How did you know it? Could it be that you've been plotting against me for a long time? Zhou Wan spat. Who's plotting against you? It's all information collected later. With the intelligence power of my subordinates, I can clearly find out when you don't wet the bed. The last time you wet the bed was... Wang Daoyuan immediately gave in. Hall Master, please be merciful and forgive me. Can't your intelligence personnel investigate some serious matters? Zhou Wan was a little sad. My mother died early. My father was killed by Elder Su's people. I have no other relatives. I was exiled to the north of the mountain and was bullied by that bitch Xian Diao for more than 100 years. I don't even have a person to rely on. It's not easy to find someone like you who can rely on. Unfortunately, you're a bad guy who attracts flies. I don't want to go back to the past. Naturally, I have to keep an eye on you. Now that I have a child, even if you're seduced away by a vixen, I can still rely on the child. Chapter 660. Wang Daoyuan could understand Zhou Wan's mentality. From a genius in the limelight, her family was ruined. She was exiled to Shanbei, built a business from scratch, and was picked by the Black Sable. He helped her win over a lot of people, tricked the Black Sable and fooled Elder Su. Zhou Wan was somewhat dependent on him, so she was very jealous. Plus, after giving birth, she was always worried about gains and losses. Wang Daoyuan quickly took her into his arms and comforted her. If it weren't for the help of the hall leader, I wouldn't be where I am today. No vixen can compare to a good wife like you. These were not all words to comfort her. The intelligence agency controlled by Zhou Wan provided a lot of help to Wang Daoyuan. Hearing this, Zhou Wan felt a little better. 3 days later, Zhou Wan wanted to breastfeed Wang Mingchen, and Wang Daoyuan had no intention of avoiding it. Zhou Wan glanced at him. What are you looking at? Do you want to snatch food from your son? I'm just afraid of bursting the child. After all, you are a cultivator in the later stage of the Jindan realm, and your milk is comparable to natural treasures. Can the dog stand it? Zhou Wan glared at him. In the ancient times, there were female cultivators who gave birth to children in the divinity realm, and I didn't see any bursting of the child. You talk too much nonsense. Get out. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to make her angry, so he left obediently. After breastfeeding, Wang Mingchen's body grew very fast, especially the strength of his muscles and bones far exceeded that of his peers. In addition, Wang Daoyuan often used the Tsang Dragon Pearl to replenish his vitality, so he could walk slowly in 5 or 6 months. His strength and intelligence also reached the level of a 1 or 2-year-old child, but he hadn't learned to speak yet. After learning how to walk, the little guy had an extremely strong interest in fire. As soon as he had the chance, he wanted to run out of the cave and run to the earth fire room in the southeast. In order to prevent him from running out, Wang Daoyuan had no choice but to set up a simple blocking array at the entrance of the immortal cave. At this time, Wang Mingchen was punching and kicking the blocking array at the door, saying a language that no one could understand. Zhou Wan was a little worried. Daoyuan, do you think our son has a special constitution? It had only been 6 months, and he was already thinking of running to the earth fire room. When he gets older, I won't be able to control him anymore. Wang Daoyuan nodded. That should be it. Doggy's physical fitness is far better than that of ordinary children, and his appetite is especially big. Don't worry. I don't have anything important to do now. I'll just watch him. He's just a little brat who's not even half a year old. What can he do under our noses? Wang Mingchen tried to attack the array formation for a while, but found that he couldn't break the array formation with his little ability. She ran back to Wang Daoyuan's side, hugged his leg, and acted like a spoiled child. Zhou Wan smiled and said, "This boy is really like you. He's so smart at such a young age. Wang Daoyuan picked up his son. It's good to be smart. You won't be taken advantage of. At this time, a communication jade talisman in his universe ring lit up. He took out the jade talisman and checked it. It was a message from the 12th uncle. The message said that many 4th-ranked demonic beasts had appeared in the Wanchuan River, and most of them were going against the current. A few demonic beasts were wandering around the Wanchuan market. Now the 12th uncle had activated the defensive array to prevent the demonic beasts from attacking the market. Zhou also received the message from the intelligence agency soon, and the content was similar. Wang Daoyuan was a little confused. What's going on these years? The demonic beasts in the Wanchuan River are so active. I've lived for more than 240 years, and I've never heard of such a situation before. Hall Master, did this happen in the records of Blood Shadow? Zhou said without hesitation. I saw similar records when I was investigating the dragon species for you. It should be related to the spiritual energy tide in the Qianlong River of the Zhou country. The next tide should be within a year. Every time there is a spiritual energy tide, there will be many aquatic demonic beasts going against the current. It's just that in the past, only 3rd-rank upper-grade demonic beasts participated. They wanted to use the rich spiritual energy during the tide to break through. 3rd-rank upper-grade demonic beasts are not strong enough, so they don't dare to be too arrogant when they go against the current. It's normal that you didn't notice it. As for a large number of 4th-ranked demonic beasts going against the current, it hasn't happened for more than 10,000 years. Wang Daoyuan said in a low voice. So these 4th-ranked demonic beasts are probably going for the spiritual energy tide in the Qianlong River. 3rd-ranked demonic beasts can fight for a chance to break through there. But why would 4th-ranked demonic beasts go there? Could there be 5th-ranked spiritual energy there for them to break through? Then he shook his head again. I went to kill the dragon species during the last spiritual energy tide in the Qianlong River. Although the spiritual energy had reached the limit of 4th rank at that time. But this last layer of window paper isn't so easy to pierce through. Even if 5th rank spiritual energy appears, it won't be for too long. What can it do in such a short time? Zhou said with a smile. There's an 80% chance that 5th rank spiritual energy will appear. These years, the concentration of spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xiuxian has been slowly increasing. Although there's still some distance to the appearance of a 5th-rank spiritual vein, the Qianlong River's spiritual energy tide will always have a concentration higher than that of the entire cultivation world. If 5th-rank spiritual energy appears, even if it can't support their advancement, they can still absorb the power of law. It can allow ordinary 4th-rank upper-grade demonic beasts to have the strength of a half-step Yuanying human cultivator. Demonic beasts are more sensitive to the outside world than humans. There's an 80% chance that they found something. Wang Daoyuan nodded. If that's the case, I really have to go and join in the fun. I can use a Dharma artifact to absorb some 5th-rank spiritual energy and improve my understanding of the law. He mainly wanted to borrow the 5th-rank spiritual energy to upgrade the spiritual pearl space. If he could really make the spiritual pearl space produce a 5th-rank spiritual vein and cultivate some 5th-rank spiritual creatures, he could definitely cultivate a Yuanying cultivator. After saying that, he handed Wang Mingchen to Zhou. I'll go to Wanchuan Market to take a look and kill a few 4th-rank demonic beasts that are alone. Zhou didn't have any objections. She took Wang Mingchen and reminded him, be careful. Water-type demonic beasts are not to be trifled with. Don't force yourself. Don't worry. With Guzi, I won't dare to take risks like before. After saying that, he left the cave abode and flew south on a cloud. Wang Mingchen watched his father leave and struggled to follow. Zhou snorted coldly. You're as heartless as your father. Wang Daoyuan soon arrived at Wanchuan Market. The defensive array here was extremely weak. If the person controlling the array was a water-type cultivator, he could borrow the power of the array to attack with Dharma spells. However, because the offensive power of the array itself was too weak, it didn't have much of an effect on strengthening Dharma spells. At this moment, the 12th uncle activated the defensive array and stayed in the market obediently. All transactions in Wanchuan Market were stopped. No one was allowed to enter or leave. The few important array cores in the market were also guarded by cultivators from the guardian residents. Although this was a little cowardly, at least the demonic beasts wouldn't succeed in sneak attacks. Prince Qingli's residence was located in Wanchuan Market. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't usually stay here, the organization was still complete. There were many cultivators stationed here, and it was more than enough to defend. Wang Daoyuan didn't plan to enter the market and hid outside. If any water-type demonic beasts dared to cause trouble, he could also kill them. This was to avoid causing too much commotion and attracting a large number of demonic beasts. The 4th-tier upper-grade demonic beasts went against the flow to try their luck. The rest of the demonic beasts were jumping up and down on the surface of the river, as if they were the king of the mountain when the tiger was absent. Wanchuan Market was a water transportation hub that connected Linhai State and the hinterland of Zhao State. Now that they couldn't do business, they were losing large amounts of spirit stones every day. Wang Daoyuan wouldn't be happy if he didn't kill a few demonic beasts to make up for his losses. After waiting outside Wanchuan Market for a few days, he encountered a reckless fellow. This was a 4th-tier mid-grade crab. It should have passed the transformation heavenly tribulation, but its human form was a little out of place. Its 2 hands were still big pincers, and its body was round, very similar to a crab's body. Other demonic beasts wouldn't stay in one place for too long, but this fellow kept loitering around Wanchuan Market. Chapter 661. Looking at the crab's 2 big pincers, Wang Daoyuan was really a little greedy. Although he had eaten many kinds of demonic beasts and spiritual fish in this life, he rarely ate crabs. It was his first time seeing a 4th-rank crab. This crab was also quite sneaky. It dawdled in the river close to the Wanchuan Market for more than 10 days, and did not make a move. At this time, the 4th-rank upper-grade demonic beasts had already left, leaving only some 4th-rank lower-grade demonic beasts to play around. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to go deep into the water to kill it. If he could not kill it instantly, and attracted other demonic beasts, it would be troublesome. No matter how strong he was afraid of being besieged. In the case of using a small ability, he could fight 4 or 5 4th-rank mid-grade demonic beasts. But if there were more, there would be no other way. Anyway, there was nothing else to do, so he could slowly wait. After waiting for half a month, the big crab finally could not hold back. It came to the shallow water and began to attack the defensive formation. This big crab's magic was not bad. With a wave of its pincers, a large amount of river water formed a monstrous wave that slammed towards the Wanchuan Market. The defensive formation of the Wanchuan Market had a good defensive power. The entire market was like an indestructible reef. No matter how strong the wind and waves were, it would not move. Seeing that the huge wave could not shake the defensive formation, the big crab no longer wasted its spiritual power. After dispersing the monstrous wave, a crab pincer suddenly became bigger. The pincer opened and enveloped the entire market. Then the pincer suddenly closed, wanting to crush the defensive formation. Unfortunately, it overestimated its own strength. When the pincer came down, the defensive light barrier only trembled a few times. It stretched out the other pincer and attacked the formation together. Wang Daoyuan was waiting for this opportunity. He took out the white tiger blade and 10 sword shadows formed, attacking the weakest point between the pincer and the body. Realizing that it was being attacked, the crab's reaction was quite fast. It immediately retracted its pincers and revealed its original form, a 3-foot-long greenish-black crab. It turned around and used its back to block the sword shadows. The crab's shell was very sturdy, and the 10 sword shadows could not break its defense. Wang Daoyuan did not stay idle. He used the black tortoise purgatory to wrap the entire crab inside. Before it could react, the black tortoise purgatory rose high into the air and left the river. Moreover, this time, the black tortoise purgatory was no longer composed of water element spiritual energy, but black-colored flames. The crab's consciousness couldn't penetrate the black tortoise purgatory to control the water of the Thousand Rivers River. After being isolated from the water, the crab's strength was only average. Relying on its powerful physique, it rampaged through the Black Tortoise Purgatory. Unfortunately, Wang Daoyuan's Black Tortoise Purgatory could not even be broken by a second-rate Jindan master. So what could Li Shui's rank 4 mid-grade crab do? The Black Tortoise Purgatory shrunk rapidly, burning the crab's body. The crab immediately begged for mercy, but Wang Daoyuan remained unmoved. He used his spiritual energy to defend himself. But unfortunately, the water element defensive light shield was quickly ignited. The giant crab cursed as its soul was burned away. However, its body was completely undamaged. Its hard shell was able to withstand the sword shadow divine light technique, so it could be used to refine defensive magic tools. At this time, other aquatic monsters wanted to take advantage of the situation. Wang Daoyuan scattered the shrunken Black Tortoise Purgatory into the Thousand Rivers River. Black flames ignited within 100 miles of the river. The monsters fled in all directions. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "If you dare to attack the Thousand Rivers Market again, I will kill you all." None of the monsters dared to respond. Wang Daoyuan then put away the Gui water death flames that covered the river. The spiritual energy in the flames, apart from being absorbed by himself, was integrated into the space of the spirit bead. Extracting more spiritual energy from the outside world could also improve the grade of the spirit veins in the space. The monsters fled, not daring to have any ideas about the Thousand Rivers Market. The 12th uncle also closed the defensive formation, and the shops in the market began to gradually recover. Wang Daoyuan entered the county king's mansion, which was the original guardian mansion. The 12th uncle came out to greet him. "Daoyuan, your strength is becoming more and more frightening. You can kill a mid-grade 4th rank monster so easily. I have a lot of spirit wine stored in the Thousand Rivers Market. Let's have a good drink." Wang Daoyuan took out a bottle of Jade Marrow Vitality Enhancing Pills. "Zhou just gave birth and caught a big guy. I can go back and nourish her, so I won't accompany you to drink. Here are 3 Jade Marrow Vitality Enhancing Pills. You can use them for cultivation." The 12th uncle also had a happy expression. He hurriedly asked, "How is my little grandnephew's talent?" "Single spirit root. I can't be sure if it's a heavenly spirit root, but it seems he has a special constitution. Then it's definitely a heavenly spirit root. With a special constitution, our Wang family has produced another genius. The Clear Glass Commandery finally has a successor." After chatting with the 12th uncle for a while, Wang Daoyuan rode a cloud back to the Jade Spring Mountain. In the space of the Spirit Pearl, Tu Yuming had already finished dealing with the large crab. The monster's golden core was properly stored away. The crab's body was also dissected. The 2 crab pincers were already cooked. Returning to the cave, Zhou Wan was feeding Wang Mingchen. Wang Daoyuan also watched from the side. Zhou Wan rebuked, "What are you looking at? You killed a mid-grade 4th rank crab, and didn't bring back anything for me?" He took out the 2 pincers. "It's not like I haven't seen it before. What's there to be embarrassed about? These 2 pincers are already cooked. Eat them first." He gave the 2 pincers to Zhou Wan while he carried Wang Mingchen. This little guy was still not full, and kept burrowing into his clothes. Wang Daoyuan drew out a strand of scarlet Luan Nirvana flame from the space of the Spirit Pearl, which attracted the little guy's attention. Wang Mingchen was indeed good at playing with fire. When he saw the flame, his eyes could not move away, and he even wanted to reach out to grab it. After teasing him for a while, he received a message from the 12th uncle. It turned out that the Zhou nation had sent a letter to ask for help from Wang Daoyuan. In the entire Wanchuan River basin, most of the high-grade 4th rank aquatic monsters had gathered near the mouth of the hidden Dragon River. There were still 2 to 3 months before the spirit energy tide. With a large group of monsters gathered in one place, it would be strange if they did not cause trouble. The strength of the Zhou clan alone was not enough to intimidate the monsters. Once they caused trouble, the Zhou nation would definitely suffer heavy losses. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Looks like I have to make a trip to the Zhou nation to help my brother-in-law." Zhou Wan said as she ate, "It's the same whether you go or not. The Zhou nation has already asked for help from the 4 top forces. The 4 top forces were ordered by the ancient mighty to protect the human race. When human forces are besieged by demons, they naturally will not stand by and watch. There's already a letter from the other side. My brother-in-law is in trouble. As his brother-in-law, it's not appropriate for me to not help. The Zhou nation is in a critical situation. Master should also go. With Master around, I won't be in any danger. Tell me, as a son-in-law, how can my family not express their gratitude? Why don't you come with me? You can bring the child and get more benefits. Zhou Wan looked at him disdainfully. A dignified county king, an expert ranked below the half-step Yuanying, is only so promising. When you go out to help, you only want to extort others. Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, a mountain can reach its height without turning its back on an inch of land. The sea can reach its greatness without turning its back on a trickle. Didn't the family save up bit by bit to achieve what it is today? We can't not cheat just because there are few things. As long as we work hard, we can still save up a lot of money. Zhou Wan was amused by his words. You speak so eloquently about extortion. I'm afraid Mingchen will learn bad things from you. You should go to the Zhou nation by yourself. I'll stay at home to take care of Mingchen. The Zhou nation's matter was not urgent. He stayed at home to accompany Zhou Wan and the child for a few more days before leaving for the Zhou nation. He first went to the Wanchuan market. The huge crab he killed previously was quite a deterrent. Now no rank 4 demon beasts dared to show up on the river near the Wanchuan market. The market's business also recovered a little. After greeting the 12th uncle, he went upstream along the Wanchuan River and went straight to the mouth of the Qianlong River. About 1,000 miles away from the Wanchuan market, rank 4 demon beasts showed up. The closer he got to the mouth of the Qianlong River, the more demon beasts there were. 10 days later, he arrived near the mouth of the Qianlong River. The river here was crowded with demon beasts. Human cultivators did not dare to come close. Wang Daoyuan also felt a familiar aura. Master had arrived. Chapter 662. At this moment, Taoist Thunderflame, Emperor Zhou, and the others were on a mountain more than 300 miles south of the hidden Dragon River. Wang Daoyuan flew over on a cloud. There were some palace-like buildings on the mountain, which looked like Emperor Zhou's palace. As soon as he arrived near the mountain, Zhou Jingyuan came out to greet him. He landed on the mountain and patted Zhou Jingyuan's shoulder, transmitting his voice. Nephew, you're indeed a talent. Zhou Jingyuan's face darkened, but he didn't say anything and just led the way. The two entered the main hall. There were only 3 people in the hall. Emperor Zhou and Taoist Thunderflame sat side by side, while Lord Riverglance sat on the left. Seeing the two enter, Emperor Zhou smiled. Brother-in-law, you're here? Please take a seat. Wang Daoyuan bowed to Taoist Thunderflame. Greetings, Master. Taoist Master Lei Yin nodded his head. He bowed towards Emperor Zhou again, before taking his seat on the right. As for Zhou Jingyuan, as the junior with the lowest seniority, he could only sit below Lord Riverglance. Emperor Zhou asked, I heard Lord Riverglance say that Daoyuan married a distant branch of my Zhou clan. Which branch is she from? Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of scarlet Luan Nirvana flame from the space of the spirit pearl and smiled. Brother-in-law, you'll know at a glance. Emperor Zhou probed with his divine sense and nodded. It's the spiritual fire of Taoist Scarlet Luan's branch. It seems that my cousin's talent isn't low, to be able to condense spiritual fire. More than 1,000 years ago, Taoist Scarlet Luan had a conflict with my imperial grandfather and left Zhou in anger. This cousin of mine should be his descendant. Why didn't you bring her here this time? Taoist Scarlet Luan's branch is weak now. I wonder if she's willing to acknowledge her ancestors? Wang Daoyuan replied. She just gave birth half a year ago, and is now taking care of the child at home. Hearing this, Taoist Thunderflame smiled. I have another grand disciple. After dealing with these monsters, I'll definitely go take a look. They talked about Zhou Luan and the child, while Zhou Jingyuan stayed at the side without saying a word. Then, Emperor Zhou ordered him to arrange a residence for Wang Daoyuan. He stood up with a gloomy expression and brought Wang Daoyuan to a small courtyard. Arriving at the small courtyard, Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, I say, nephew, why do you look so unhappy when you see your uncle? I treat you as a friend. At most, you'll be my brother-in-law. I didn't expect you to become my uncle. How can I be happy that I'm one generation younger than you? The two chatted for a while before Zhou Jingyuan left. There were too many demonic beasts gathered in the hidden dragon river. At their current cultivation level, some of them were more sensible and didn't cause trouble easily. However, most of the demonic beasts were still stubborn and would attack at the slightest sign of dissatisfaction. There were fights all day long in the hidden dragon river. The Zhou family's cultivators were busy suppressing them to prevent them from affecting humans. At first, it was a little difficult, but later, the reinforcements of the four top forces arrived one after another. The Qin state and some of the surrounding small countries also sent people to help, so the demonic beasts couldn't cause any trouble. Perhaps it was because of the presence of Taoist Lei Yan, a nascent soul cultivator. But even if a small number of demonic beasts were killed, most of the demonic beasts would obediently stay in the water and not dare to come ashore to cause trouble. In the beginning, Wang Daoyuan helped his family kill the demonic beasts a few times. Later, more and more people came to help, so Emperor Zhou didn't let him, the new son-in-law, do anything. Wang Daoyuan had nothing to do, so he asked spiritual master Lei Yin some questions about cultivation every day. More than 2 months passed, and the day of the spiritual Qi tide arrived. Before dawn, all the golden core cultivators came to the hidden dragon market, next to the mouth of the hidden dragon river. The last time Wang Daoyuan came here, there was an endless stream of people and carriages, but now there was no one here. The mouth of the hidden dragon river was crowded with demonic beasts. There were nearly 1,000 rank 4 demonic beasts for dozens of miles around the mouth of the river. These demonic beasts were usually scattered all over the Wanchuan River, and were all overlords. No one was willing to be wronged, so they didn't hide their bodies. Aquatic demonic beasts were relatively large, and the demonic beasts that were dozens of feet long were not in line. There were many demonic beasts that were hundreds of feet long. Wang Daoyuan also saw a few sharks. It seemed that not only the demonic beasts of the Wanchuan River, but also the demonic beasts of the sea. After reaching rank 4 demonic beasts, the seawater and river water had no effect on them. It was just that the demonic beasts of the sea didn't like to stay in the river. Now that there was a huge temptation, even if they didn't like it, they had to come. Soon, the concentration of spiritual qi near the mouth of the hidden dragon river began to rise. At 4:45, the spiritual qi had reached rank 4. The demonic beasts in the water became restless and pushed each other, trying to find the best spot. The Zhou state's reinforcements added up to more than 200 golden core cultivators, and they were all staring at the mouth of the river. The demonic beasts didn't dare to leave the river. If anyone dared to fly out, they would be the first to stand out, and would likely be beaten up. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached rank 4 demonic beasts. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached rank 4 demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan was also present during the last spiritual qi tide. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had barely reached rank 4 demonic beasts. Soon, at 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached the limit of rank 4 demonic beasts. It was comparable to the spiritual qi concentration in the Treasure Tripod Valley. The last time the spiritual qi concentration reached this level, it was already 4:45. This time, it was more than 2 hours earlier. It seemed that the spiritual qi recovery was still relatively rapid. After that, the spiritual qi concentration stopped rising. Instead, the range of rank 4 demonic beasts continued to expand. Previously, the spiritual qi only covered a radius of 50 miles with the mouth of the river as the center. This was also the range of the spiritual qi tide in the past. After 1/4 of an hour, this range had expanded to 50 miles. The speed of the expansion was still increasing, as if it was accumulating power for the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts. At 4:45, the spiritual qi concentration had reached the limit of rank 4 demonic beasts. It had expanded to a radius of 500 miles. Everyone was a little nervous. Everyone hoped for the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts. Even if the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts was not enough to break through the Yuanying, there was still some hope. At this time, the range of the spiritual qi tide was no longer expanding. Instead, it was rapidly shrinking. There were still more than 100 breaths left before 4:45, and the range of the spiritual qi tide had shrunk to a normal level. Suddenly, in the center of the river mouth, there was a violent fluctuation of spiritual qi and the power of law. Everyone probed with their spiritual sense and found a wisp of extremely extraordinary spiritual qi. It was rank 5 demonic beasts. As soon as this wisp of rank 5 demonic beasts appeared, the surrounding spiritual qi also began to change rapidly. When 4:45 arrived, with the river mouth as the center, all the spiritual qi within a radius of 50 miles had become rank 5 demonic beasts. The cultivators and the demonic beasts in the water no longer hesitated and desperately absorbed the spiritual qi. Wang Daoyuan even released the Gui water death flame, building a sea of fire with a diameter of 100 feet. The spiritual qi at the mouth of the river was of the water attribute. As soon as it touched the Gui water death flame, it burned fiercely. Within a radius of 50 miles, Wang Daoyuan only occupied a piece of land with a diameter of 100 feet, which was not considered big. However, the speed at which the flames burned the spiritual qi was much faster than the speed at which others absorbed it. Within today, the amount of spiritual qi consumed would be replenished. However, the replenishment of spiritual qi in the Sea of Fire could not keep up with the consumption. The spiritual qi outside the Sea of Fire was also quickly replenished. The nearby golden core cultivators were somewhat uncomfortable, but they could not say anything. Everyone relied on their own abilities. If they could not snatch it from Wang Daoyuan, they could only admit that they were unlucky. Not to mention, Taoist Lei Yin was next to them. He was famous for being protective of his own people. Who dared to say anything? Wang Daoyuan also did not go too far. He always controlled the range of the Sea of Fire to a diameter of 100 feet. The excess flame essence was all taken back into his body. At this time, he was rapidly circulating the 5-spirit immortal transformation technique to convert the flame essence into quintessential essence and improve his cultivation. Even without considering the power of law, rank 5 demonic beast's quality was extremely high. In just a quarter of an hour, the golden core could no longer absorb spiritual qi. Wang Daoyuan began to circulate the internal refinement method of the true dragon physical conditioning technique, using the spiritual qi to strengthen his internal organs. The hidden dragon river mouth was a famous gathering place of dragon species. It had dragon qi itself. Coupled with the rank 5 demonic beasts, it was very suitable to cultivate the true dragon physical conditioning technique. Chapter 663. Every time there was a spirit qi tide in the hidden dragon river, the concentration of spirit qi would reach its peak at noon, and then it would last until midnight. Then the concentration of spirit qi would slowly decrease until the next day. It would completely return to its original state. During this time, it would maintain the highest level for about half a day. Last time, Taoist Lei Yin didn't absorb much spirit qi from the outside world, and was able to form his nascent soul in a very short time mainly because of the spirit qi in the corpse core that was left behind by a peak Yuanying cultivator. Even if a lot of spirit qi was lost, the remaining spirit qi far exceeded all the spirit qi of an early Yuanying cultivator. If a half-step Yuanying cultivator didn't have the help of a rank 5 spirit item, and wanted to rely on rank 5 spirit qi to break through, if all the spirit qi in the hidden dragon river was given to him, it would take him 6 or 7 days to accumulate enough spirit qi to break through. Although it didn't take half a year to prepare like a core formation cultivator, forming his nascent soul still required a stable supply of rank 5 spirit qi. Relying on these few hours of rank 5 spirit qi to form his nascent soul, unless the spirit qi concentration reached high-grade rank 5 spirit qi, a nascent soul cultivator had to have enough ability to absorb this spirit qi. Although it wasn't enough for forming his nascent soul, the effect of increasing his cultivation was still very good. After Wang Daoyuan used the internal refinement method for an hour, The carrying capacity of his 5 viscera reached its limit. He used the external refinement method and used part of the essence of his 5 viscera to strengthen his body. At this stage, he didn't need to absorb spirit chi from the outside world, but he was still constantly extracting the essence of the Gui water death flame. These flame essences were directly sent into the space of the spirit bead to increase the spirit chi concentration in the space. It was a pity that he didn't bring Yunyi with him. In the past few years, Wang Daoyuan had taken time to feed it some inky jade lotus seeds. This fellow's cultivation had improved quite quickly. Although it hadn't broken through to rank 3 middle grade, it wasn't far off. If he could bring it and put it in the space of the spirit bead, with the help of so much yin qi, it wouldn't be difficult to break through. A large amount of water spirit qi carrying yin qi poured into the space of the spirit bead, causing the entire space to become somewhat gloomy. The red-feathered crow felt uncomfortable and turned into a sun, emitting a rich pure yang qi. The pure yin and yang qi fused together. A large amount of purple qi emerged. The speed at which the purple cloud would absorb the purple qi was too slow. No matter how much purple qi there was, it had to be absorbed slowly. On the other hand, the 2 star cores floating in the air had gained a lot of benefits. Their spiritual energy fluctuations had increased significantly. Originally, it was only a level 4 mid-grade star nucleus. After staying in the spirit pearl for many years, it was about to be upgraded to a level 4 high-grade star nucleus. This time, with the help of this large amount of purple qi, it wouldn't be a problem to raise its grade. Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to temper his body. Instead, he used tempering his body as an excuse to absorb more spiritual energy. In addition to drawing a large amount of spiritual power into the space of the spiritual pearl, part of the spiritual power was also converted into the 5 elements and slowly integrated into the 5 spiritual power seeds. The 5 elemental spiritual fire that had been refined into a spirit power seed could also absorb a portion of the level 5 spirit power and transform it into the spirit fire origin. The higher their grade, the faster Wang Daoyuan's cultivation speed. However, the peak time of the spirit energy tide did not last until midnight as usual. At the beginning of the evening, the range of the 5th stage spirit energy began to shrink. This was the first time a level 5 spirit energy appeared, so it was reasonable that it couldn't last for too long. However, with this reduction, all the cultivators and beasts became nervous. Everyone wanted to snatch a little more spirit energy. This 5th stage spirit energy was a rare good thing. The human race still had some self-control and would not fall out over such a small thing. However, the beasts in the river did not care about this. If there was not enough spirit energy, they would snatch it. The beasts at the edge of the spirit energy tide could originally also absorb the 5th stage spirit energy. Now they could not absorb it, and those beasts squeezed in the middle could still absorb the 5th stage spirit energy normally. How could they be balanced? If they were mentally unbalanced, they would snatch it. The beasts at the edge began to squeeze to the middle. The beasts in the middle did not want to give up their interests, and the conflict broke out just like that. First, the 2 sharks at the edge began to be unconvinced. These guys were not good-tempered. After the 5th stage spirit energy disappeared, they began to attack the giant python next to them, wanting to snatch the spirit energy. This giant python was not to be trifled with. Its scales were shining with a metallic light, and there was a bulge on its head. It should also be a dragon species. Although this guy's dragon blood was thin, as a dragon species, it had a lot of pride. In addition, its cultivation had reached the 4th stage high grade. It was usually an existence that dominated a region. How could it withstand the provocation of 2 sharks? The 2 sides fought in the water. The giant python was at a slight disadvantage in a 1 versus 2 fight. These beasts had lived for at least thousands of years. Who didn't have relatives? What's more, these 2 sharks were not local. They ran from the sea to the Wanchuan River to beg for food. The local beasts naturally stood with the giant python. Soon 2 python-type beasts came to help. In order to absorb more spirit energy, these guys wanted to cover the entire spirit energy tide with their bodies. They were at least hundreds of feet long. This place was already very crowded. Now that there was a fight, the beasts next to them were naturally affected. The beasts that were implicated for no reason could not swallow this and joined the fight. Soon the entire Qianlong River mouth was in a mess. The human cultivators stopped cultivating and hurriedly retreated 50 miles away from the river mouth. Wang Daoyuan took out the meteoric flame-controlling gourd, put away the Gui water death flame, and also retreated. Everyone had the mentality of watching a good show. Since these beasts wanted to make trouble, then let them fight to their heart's content. It was best to kill a few more. The fewer beasts there were, the less of a threat to the human race. Although these beasts were all 4th stage high grade, and the difference in cultivation was not big, the difference in strength was not small. The human race was of the same species. Late-stage golden core cultivators could be divided into 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rate. Since the beasts were not of the same species, the difference in strength would only be greater. In the center of the river mouth, a 4th stage high-grade black flood dragon firmly held the territory, guarding the place with the densest spirit energy. A few beasts came to test it, but they were quickly repelled by it. Naturally, they were strong and weak. The 2 sharks that started the fight were besieged by a group of beasts, and soon couldn't hold on. They directly flew out of the Wanchuan River, and flew to the north bank. Everyone within 300 miles of the Qianlong River mouth had already moved out. There was also a small mountain nearby. The fight near the river mouth would not affect the human cultivators outside. However, if these 2 sharks wanted to escape inland, they would be a big threat to the nearby humans. A 4th stage high-grade demonic beast could kill a large number of low-level cultivators with a single breath. The north bank of the Wanchuan River was guarded by cultivators from the Wind Snow Deity Palace and the Archaic Mysteries sect. When the 2 sharks rushed over, a cold wind blew. After a breath, snowflakes drifted down. These snowflakes were like sharp blades. When they touched the 2 sharks, they would leave a bloody mark. These 2 fellas were not fools. Seeing that they could not afford to offend the cultivators on the north bank of the Wanchuan River, they turned and fled east. However, before they could escape far, the 2 sharks seemed to have bumped into an invisible net. After charging forward for a while, they were bounced back. Such a brilliant array should be the work of the Archaic Mysteries sect. The cold wind and snowflakes were jointly cast by many cultivators from the Wind Snow Deity Palace. The 2 sharks were quickly frozen into ice sculptures. The cultivators from the 2 sects each took one. The escape of the 2 sharks was just the beginning. Soon, a huge catfish escaped to the south bank of the Wanchuan River, west of the Qianlong River. That was where the Tai Sword sect was guarding. Just as it flew to the shore, a sword shadow flashed past. The catfish flew forward for more than a mile before landing on the ground. At this moment, he was no longer breathing. Blood flowed all over the ground. Then, a person flew over and took the catfish. This person was Swordless Spiritual Master. Demonic beasts constantly fled inland, and were all killed. Wang Daoyuan was on the east bank of the Qianlong River, which was mainly guarded by the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Lei Yin's Spiritual Master emitted the aura of a Yuanian cultivator here. No demonic beasts dared to escape. Not long after, a dark green flood dragon flew over and roared at Wang Daoyuan. During the last spiritual energy tide, one of my grandsons was killed. You have his aura on you. Did you do it? Wang Daoyuan was stunned. He encountered an enemy seeking revenge. Chapter 664. The concentration of this flood dragon's bloodline was not low. Its head and body were no different from a real dragon, except that it had 4 claws and 3 toes. The scales on its body were like pieces of jade. It was the jade scale flood dragon. In front of this guy, Venerable Yulong's green flood dragon was just a little loach. When this kind of semi-divine beast cultivated to the 4th rank, it would definitely attract a bloodline heavenly tribulation. After the baptism of the bloodline heavenly tribulation, the concentration of its dragon blood would be even higher. The minor divine abilities of semi-divine beasts were inherited from their bloodline. The higher the concentration of the bloodline, the stronger the minor divine abilities. Moreover, this flood dragon's physical body was extremely strong. Even if Wang Daoyuan had refined his body for many years, he was still far from being its opponent. Its fighting strength was definitely at the level of a first-rate golden core cultivator, and it was a relatively strong one. It should not be inferior to Zhao Jinghua. Wang Daoyuan really had no chance of winning in a head-on fight. However, Wang Daoyuan himself could also be considered a first-rate expert among golden core cultivators. The difference in strength was not that big. Even if he was not the opponent of this jade scale flood dragon, it was not a problem for him to protect himself. What's more wasn't master here, Wang Daoyuan generously admitted. During the last spiritual energy tide, I did kill a third-rank high-grade jade scale flood dragon to refine my life-bound magic weapon. Your grandson ran to the human territory and was killed, so you can't blame anyone. Hearing this, the jade scale flood dragon was furious. You, a dignified golden core cultivator, actually bullied my grandson. This spiritual energy tide has existed for who knows how many years. Every time the children of the demon race come to borrow the spiritual energy to break through. As long as we don't hurt the humans on the shore, the ancient powerhouses never cared. What, is the human race going to set new rules now? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile. According to the rules passed down from ancient times, both humans and demons can borrow the spiritual energy tide to break through. If there is a conflict, there will be no casualties if the cultivators are of the same level. When I killed your grandson, I had just entered the late stage of the Zifu realm. My cultivation was even lower than your grandson's. I killed it in accordance with the rules passed down from ancient times. What's wrong with that? The jade scale flood dragon said angrily. Do you take me for a fool? The human race's cultivation speed, even divine beasts can't compare. However, from the core formation stage to the late golden core stage, even if one had a heavenly spiritual root, it would still take 100 years. From the initial stage of the Violet Palace realm to the core formation stage, it would take several decades. In total, it would take at least 200 years. It had only been 60 years since the last spirit chi tide. In ancient times, when my demon clan was still able to transform into divine beasts, there weren't many people who could do this. No matter how many lies you tell, you won't be able to escape death. Wang Daoyuan sneered. I'm just stating the facts. North of the Wanchuan River, all the rank 4 demonic beasts in the Sky Beheading Mountain range should know. The matter of me forming my gold core over 40 years ago is also known by everyone. I'm talking so much nonsense with you because I don't want to be wronged. Do you think I'm afraid of you? In a battle of magical powers, there isn't much difference between our strength, but in a battle of life and death, you will definitely die. Then he summoned his life spirit fire, Tai golden flames and Gui water death flames. Although the jade scale flood dragon was a dragon species, it was extremely good at fighting in the water. However, he was not a water elemental demonic beast, so he did not have any water elemental techniques or spells. As long as Wang Daoyuan did not enter the water, he would not be able to borrow the power of the water. In this place where the water elemental spirit chi was extremely rich, not only would he not be able to gain the upper hand, he would also be suppressed by Wang Daoyuan. However, the bad temper of a dragon species did not allow him to retreat. His body rapidly expanded to a length of 10,000 feet. He opened his mouth and spat out rays of green light, attacking Wang Daoyuan. The other cultivators hurriedly retreated. Perfected Lei Yin also stood at the side with a smile, not worried about Wang Daoyuan at all. Wang Daoyuan used the cloud mist escape, and countless small black flames directly covered an area of more than 10 miles. When the flames encountered the rich water elemental spirit chi, they quickly burned and turned into a sea of fire. Wang Daoyuan was also worried that he would anger all the demonic beasts, so he tried to reduce the range of the flames. The jade scale flood dragon wanted to control the green light, change the direction, and continue to attack. However, as soon as he released his spiritual sense, it was burned to ashes by the black flames. The black flames followed the spiritual sense and attacked his soul. The jade scale flood dragon's body burst out with green spiritual energy, and a green tornado appeared out of thin air, dispersing the black flames. Without the cover of the black flames, Wang Daoyuan was exposed. The green tornado had an extremely strong suction force, seriously affecting his speed. At the same time, the jade scale flood dragon suddenly swung its dragon tail, whipping it towards him. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to take this head-on, and released the fire of life, burning the spiritual energy in the green tornado, weakening its power. He used the vermilion bird fire resistance escape to dodge the dragon tail. The dragon tail fell, whipping the river surface, splashing blood-red waves. A demonic beast fighting for the 5th stage spirit chi was directly whipped to death by this tail. Seeing this, Wang Daoyuan was shocked. If he was hit, he would have become mincemeat by now. Taking advantage of the gap between the jade scale flood dragon's attack, Wang Daoyuan put on the black magic robe and used the hidden devil art to hide his tracks. The jade scale flood dragon wanted to attack again, but Wang Daoyuan secretly controlled the fire of life and the remaining gui water death flames, making them burn more vigorously. The green tornado was ignited by the fire of life, and Wang Daoyuan was fighting with the jade scale flood dragon for control. So the jade scale flood dragon could no longer control this green tornado. The two flames burned fiercely. Wang Daoyuan used the spiritual energy fluctuations of the flames as cover and slowly approached the jade scale flood dragon. He did not expect to be able to break the reverse scale in one go. After all, the jade scale flood dragon was not easy to deal with. An opponent who could threaten his life appeared in his most vital place. It was impossible for him to not notice. Wang Daoyuan came to the back of the jade scale flood dragon, wanting to stab the waist of the jade scale flood dragon. However, the scales of the jade scale flood dragon were layered, and the gap between the two scales was protected by a third scale, so it was not easy to break through. He poured a large amount of metal-attributed spiritual energy into the white tiger blade, then called it out and stabbed the gap between the scales. The sound of metal clashing rang out, and this sword barely broke through the scales under the gap. After the tip of the sword penetrated the scales, it pierced less than half an inch. For a giant dragon that was over 10,000 feet in length, this injury was not worth mentioning at all. Then, he released sword chi and attacked the waist of the jade scale flood dragon. Under the pain, the jade scale flood dragon let out a heart-wrenching roar. Despicable villain! Originally, he just wanted to give it a try. He did not expect that the metal-attributed spiritual energy of the white tiger blade would have such a strong restraining effect on the jade scale flood dragon. Looking at the appearance of the jade scale flood dragon, it should have injured its waist. He spat out more than 10 green lights from his mouth, attacking Wang Daoyuan, and his tail also swung over. However, the strength and speed of this tail were obviously not as good as before, so it was not a big deal to take it head-on. To be safe, Wang Daoyuan still pulled out the white tiger blade and used the smoke escape to dodge. The black flood dragon that showed its might at the mouth of the river flew up and angrily rebuked the jade scale flood dragon. How did the flood dragon clan produce such a waste like you? Not only can you not take down the opponent, you also injured your waist. Then he opened his mouth and spat out a black wind, extinguishing the gui water hell flame. This guy was the deep-sea inky flood dragon, a water-attributed semi-divine beast. In this mouth of the river, Wang Daoyuan was really not his opponent, and it would be difficult for him to protect himself. Spiritual Master Lei Yin released the power of a Yuanian cultivator and coldly snorted. This jade scale flood dragon and my disciple have a personal grudge, so I did not say anything when he attacked. You, inky flood dragon, dare to join in the fun? Could it be that you think this old man does not dare to make a move? When these words came out, the deep-sea inky flood dragon was stunned. Previously, he did not know Wang Daoyuan's identity, but his methods were too sinister, causing the dragon race to lose face. Now that he knew that Wang Daoyuan had a Yuanian master, he hurriedly apologized. I did not know that this Daoyu was your disciple, please forgive me. Then, he hurriedly returned to the mouth of the river. Spiritual Master Lei Yin coldly snorted, and did not say anything else. When the jade scale flood dragon found out that Wang Daoyuan was a Yuanian cultivator's disciple, he was somewhat afraid. If he killed Wang Daoyuan, he would be skinned alive by this Yuanian cultivator. If he lost, he would be killed by Wang Daoyuan. If he continued to fight, both sides would die. He simply stopped attacking and plunged into the Thousand Rivers River. It was just that when he was running away, the movements of the lower half of his body were not very natural. Spiritual Master Lei Yin stroked his beard and smiled. Your sword was quite accurate. This jade scale flood dragon is most likely crippled. Chapter 665. Wang Daoyuan did not want to let the tiger return to the mountain, but the flood dragon was too strong after entering the water. Even if it was one-on-one, he was not a match for the jade scale flood dragon. If he was attacked by other demon beasts, his life would be in danger. He could only sigh and give up the chase. After the jade scale flood dragon entered the water, it did not continue to fight for the level 5 spirit chi. After all, its waist was severely injured. If it quickly found a place to heal, it might be able to recover. If it continued to delay, it might completely lose its ability to be merciful. Half-divine beasts were much smarter than other demon beasts. That deep-sea ink flood dragon did not slip away along the Wanchuan River. Anyway, the level 5 spirit chi could not last for too long. There was no benefit in continuing to stay. If there was a demon with low intelligence who wanted to die, it would attract the Yuanian cultivators to attack. A level 4 flood dragon was extremely valuable. The Yuanian cultivators would be happy to injure it by accident. At this time, only a small area with a radius of less than 10 miles still had level 5 spirit chi. The fight at the mouth of the river became even more intense. Level 4 demon beasts were not inferior to most humans in terms of intelligence, but whether they were smart or stupid did not depend on intelligence. Intelligence was just a hard condition. Whether or not they could make good use of this hard condition depended on their personality and thinking habits. Most demon beasts were irritable and did not like to use their brains. They did not have the habit and ability to analyze the pros and cons. They were similar to human idiots. As long as there were benefits in front of them that could move them, they would act on instinct and charge forward. Even if their lives were in danger, they would not hesitate. Now most of the demon beasts at the mouth of the river were like this. They used all their strength to squeeze towards the center of the river. The demon beasts that stayed within the range of the level 5 spirit chi did not want to be squeezed out, so they fought with the demon beasts outside who wanted to squeeze in. The entire river was dyed red with the blood of the demon beasts. Only a few smart demon beasts escaped downstream, along the Wanchuan River. The demon beasts at the mouth of the river huddled together. The demon beasts that were more seriously injured did not dare to continue fighting. They hurriedly flew out of the water and escaped to the riverbank. In the end, they became the prey of the crowd and were killed by a group of golden core cultivators. Wang Daoyuan was south of the Wanchuan River and west of the Hidden Dragon River. Still no demon beasts dared to come over. Taoist Thunderflame noticed the problem and retracted his aura. Very quickly, some reckless fellows rushed up. The dozen or so golden core cultivators of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, who were guarding this place, as well as a portion of the Zhou clan cultivators, all attacked. Wang Daoyuan did not compete with them. He was staring at the seafood. Due to the obstruction of the Sky Beheading Mountain Range, the cultivators in the hinterland of the state of Zhao were rarely able to eat seafood. It just so happened that this time, there were 4th-tier upper-grade demonic beasts in the sea coming to seek death. So he could have a taste of it. There were 2 foodies at home, one big and one small, waiting for him to bring back good things. A moment later, a blue and red lobster rushed out of the river. When demonic beasts fled, most of them would shrink their bodies. But after the lobster shrunk, its single tail was still more than 10 meters long. This was good meat. As soon as this fellow flew to the riverbank, it was trapped by the black tortoise purgatory. It used its 2 large pincers to smash the wall of black flames. This lobster was not considered very powerful among its peers. It was also heavily injured, and there were several cracks on its shell. It was unable to break through the black tortoise purgatory at all, and its soul was quickly destroyed by the black flames. Wang Daoyuan even converted his spirit energy and cast an ice attribute spell to freeze the lobster. The range of the level 5 spirit energy was quickly reduced to a radius of 1 mile. The battle between the demonic beasts entered a white-hot state. More and more demonic beasts fled to the shore, but Wang Daoyuan did not encounter any other seafood. After all, there were very few seafood that was willing to take the risk to go inland, and they were surrounded and beaten in the mouth of the river. Only a few demonic beasts could escape to the shore. Most of the heavily injured demonic beasts were eaten by the demonic beasts that surrounded and beat them up. Since there was no seafood that came to die, Wang Daoyuan did not force it. He casually took a particularly fat catfish. At this moment, the level 5 spirit energy had completely disappeared. Without any benefits, most of the level 4 demonic beasts that still had reason began to flee quickly. A few demonic beasts that had gone berserk continued to fight. The golden core cultivators who had gained nothing previously flew above the mouth of the river and killed the heavily injured level 4 demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan killed 2 level 4 demonic beasts. It was not appropriate for him to attack again, so he did not participate. With the participation of the human cultivators, the demonic beasts did not dare to continue fighting and fled. A portion of them were directly killed by the human cultivators. In this chaotic battle, 200 to 300 demonic beasts died. More than half of them were eaten by the other demonic beasts, and only 100 or so were taken by the golden core cultivators. With the demonic beasts dead and fleeing, the mouth of the hidden dragon river regained its peace. Lord Linjiang invited the cultivators who came to support to the banquet, but not many were in the mood to attend. The Wanchuan River basin covered half of Beiyuan Xiuxian. These fleeing demonic beasts could very well threaten the industries of various places, especially a power like Qingli County, whose territory was close to the Wanchuan River. If a few demonic beasts went crazy and rushed into Qingli River, even Zhou Wan could not guarantee that she could stop a level 4 demonic beast. Most of the cultivators bid farewell and left. A portion of the Divine Weapon Pavilion cultivators stayed behind to attend the banquet. Perfected Lei Yin wanted to see his grand disciple, so he went to Qingli County with Wang Daoyuan. The master and disciple took turns to ride the clouds, and did not need to rest along the way. With Perfected Lei Yan's fast speed, they returned to Qingli County in just 2 days. The demonic beast's speed in the water was far slower than a golden core cultivator's cloud. In addition, most of them were injured. Along the way, there might be low-level level 4 demonic beasts taking advantage of them. It was impossible for them to reach Qingli County in half a month. Wang Daoyuan and Perfected Lei Yin returned to Jade Spring Peak. As the only Yuanian cultivator in Beiyuan Xiuxian had arrived, the Wang family naturally did not dare to neglect him. 5th great-uncle, 3rd brother, and the rest led most of the family's cultivators out to welcome them. Zhou Wan did not come out, because her identity had to be kept a secret. It was not the first time Perfected Lei Yan had come to Jade Spring Peak. He dismissed the crowd and Wang Daoyuan brought him to his cave abode. At this time, Wang Mingxian was hammering the blocking formation at the door. After not seeing him for 2 to 3 months, the little guy's body had become even sturdier. His memory was not bad. When he saw Wang Daoyuan return, he immediately pounced on him and hugged his thigh, crying as if he had suffered a great grievance. When Perfected Lei Yin walked in, Zhou Wan immediately bowed and said, "Greetings, master." Perfected Lei Yin smiled and said, "No need to be so polite. Daoyuan really has good eyesight to find such a good Dao companion." After saying that, he took out a golden rope and said, "I did not bring anything good. This is the golden thread demon binding rope that I refined. As long as you are bound, even a half-step Yuaniing won't be able to break free. Take it as a greeting gift. If Daoyuan does anything wrong in the future, feel free to use this thing to deal with him." This magic tool was not only a high-grade level 4 magic tool, it should be very close to level 5. However, Wang Daoyuan did not decline. He was very clear about his master's temper. He would give away things worth tens of millions of spirit stones just like that. He simply did not care about these things. It was just that he would have a hard time in the future. If he made Zhou Wan unhappy, he would be bound. Zhou Wan quickly thanked him and glanced at Wang Daoyuan. Soon after, Perfected Lei Yin squatted down and said with a smile, "Little disciple, let Grandmaster hug you." The little guy turned around and looked at Zhou Wan. Zhou Wan nodded, Then he walked towards Perfected Lei Yin. Perfected Lei Yin picked him up and said with a smile, "This little guy looks like Beiyuan, and his intelligence is even more so. He will not suffer any losses in the future." He took out a purple gold longevity lock and put it on Wang Mingchen. "This is a purple gold longevity lock that I specially refined for my little disciple after I broke through to the Yuanying realm. Due to the lack of level 5 materials, it is only at the limit of high-grade level 4. This longevity lock can automatically absorb and store spirit chi from the outside world. Once it is attacked, it will release a defensive light barrier that can withstand a full-strength attack from a half-step Yuanying cultivator. With this thing, even a golden core cultivator will not be able to injure him in a short time." The little guy did not understand what he meant, but he still nodded and pretended to understand, making Perfected Lei Yin laugh heartily. Chapter 666. Wang Daoyuan called 8th sister over. Since Master was here, he had to prepare something delicious. He had just killed 2 high-grade rank 4 demonic beasts, and could use them as ingredients. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the cave dwelling, and took out the frozen catfish that was more than 500 feet long. After melting the ice, he used the sky-sealing sword prison to wrap it up. After a few dozen breaths, the catfish turned into countless pieces of meat. He put the meat into his yin and yang ring, and gave it to 8th sister. Lei Yin Jinren stroked his beard and smiled. "Using a sword formation to cook, it seems you can still walk the path of spirit chef." Wang Mingchen looked at the fish meat in the sky. Not only was he not afraid, he even drooled. Sure enough, a foodie was fearless. This big catfish was enough for the whole clan to eat for a long time. Unfortunately, there was too much spirit energy in the meat of a high-grade rank 4 demonic beast. If one wanted to eat to their heart's content, they would need to be at least Jindan stage. Zifu stage cultivators could barely eat some meat, but cultivators below Zifu stage had to add water to their soup. Naturally, they could not use ordinary fire to cook. They needed to go to the earth fire room and borrow the power of the earth fire. 8th sister's cooking was naturally not bad. She made a table full of dishes and sent them to the cave. The 3 adults ate meat. Wang Mingchen looked at them anxiously and wanted to eat some. He had only grown 2 lower incisors, so eating ordinary meat was difficult for him. Wang Daoyuan took out a small bowl, dripped a few drops of fish soup, and filled the bowl with water. Ordinary people could withstand the spirit energy in the fish soup. Wang Mingchen's small face leaned into the bowl and drank. Soon he finished the bowl of fish soup. He picked up the empty bowl and wanted more. Wang Daoyuan did the same. Wang Mingchen quickly finished drinking again. This time he was full. The 3 used their divine sense to check his body, and found that the spirit energy in the fish soup was quickly absorbed by him, and merged into his body. Lei Yin Jinren smiled. "Good boy, such a small body can withstand so much spirit energy. He is a good seedling for body refinement. If he is nurtured well, his achievements in body refinement will definitely not be low." "Oh right, have you prepared a cultivation method for him?" Zhou Wan nodded. "I have the Zhou clan's ancestral body tempering cultivation method in my hands, all of which are of the fire attribute, just right for him." Dao Yuan still had the true dragon body tempering technique, and the 100 spirits true monarch's cultivation technique. After he cultivates to the golden core realm, he can improve his cultivation method. Lei Yin Jinren nodded. "That's good. This child also has a fire attribute spiritual root, and also has the Zhou family's bloodline. It is indeed suitable for him to cultivate the Zhou family's cultivation method." Taoist Lei Yin stayed at the Jade Spring Peak for over 10 days, but he still wasn't able to finish eating the catfish. Other than teasing Wang Mingchen, he also went to the Earth Fire Chamber to teach the Wang family how to forge weapons. His crafting level had already reached the 4th tier upper grade a few hundred years ago. Now that he had broken through to the Yuanying realm, his divine sense was strong enough. Even if he used 4th tier high-grade refining materials, it was still possible to refine a 5th tier magic tool. His attainments in the art of refining were undeniably the best in the whole of Beiyuan Xiuxian. With his guidance, the standards of everyone in the Wang family's crafting hall improved significantly. especially Zhao Liang, who spent most of his time on refining weapons. His crafting level was close to third-tier upper grade, and under Taoist Lei Yan's guidance, he successfully broke through. Taoist Lei Yan also had some attainments in formations, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to refine a fourth-tier flying warship. He also conveniently gave some pointers to the clansmen in the formation hall, which benefited them greatly. 12th Uncle sent news that middle-tier and low-grade 4th-tier demonic beasts began to flee in panic on the Wanchuan River. This should be the return of 4th-tier high-grade demonic beasts. Previously, there weren't any 4th-tier high-grade demonic beasts around, so they were jumping up and down. Now that 4th-tier high-grade demonic beasts were back, they naturally had to flee and find a safe place to hide. The Wanchuan market only had a 4th-tier low-grade formation. If 4th-tier high-grade demonic beasts attacked, it wouldn't last for long. Wang Daoyuan and Taoist Lei Yin quickly rushed over to see if they could kill a few more demonic beasts. As a result, Wang Daoyuan was greatly disappointed. These 4th-rank high-grade demonic beasts had all become frightened birds, and all of them walked underwater. None of them were arrogant on the surface of the water, let alone attacking the market square. This was already the lower reaches of the Wanchuan River, and the water volume was extremely large. These fellows hid at the bottom of the river, and even Yuanian cultivators' divine sense couldn't lock onto them. Wang Daoyuan brought a lot of catfish meat over, and he cooked some dishes every day for 12th Uncle to eat. After a month, the demonic beasts still didn't make any movements. Those demonic beasts that went to the mouth of the Qianlong River had long returned home. Taoist Lei Yin didn't stay for long. These years, the remnants of the Shannon demon clan were restless, and they needed a stabilizing force like him. He went to the Jade Spring Peak to see Wang Mingxian before leaving Qingli County and returning to the treasured Cauldron Mountain. On the second day after Taoist Lei Yin left, a 4th-tier mid-grade flying warship traveled along the Qingli River towards the Jade Spring Peak. The ship hung the Zhou clan's 5-colored phoenix flag. Since they dared to fly this flag, it meant that there were direct descendants of the Zhou clan on the ship. Wang Daoyuan personally went to the mountain to welcome them. 2 people walked down from the ship, and they were both familiar faces. One was the crown prince of Zhou country, Zhou Jingyuan, and the other was Lord Linjiang. Upon seeing Wang Daoyuan, Lord Linjiang smiled. "Thank you, Daoyu, for your help at the mouth of the Qianlong River a few days ago. My nephew Jingyuan and I are here to express our gratitude." Zhou Wan had already received the news that the Zhou Emperor had sent out his disciples to express his gratitude to the various powers that helped. Ordinary powers would only send out their own golden core cultivators. The ones who came to thank the Wang clan were the Crown Prince and Prince of Zhou country. Of course, they were here for Taoist Lei Yan and Zhou Wan. Wang Daoyuan also cupped his hands. "Daoyu, please enter." The 2 of them rode on a cloud and followed Wang Daoyuan. The flying warship followed behind them. When they arrived at the Jade Spring Peak, Wang Daoyuan brought the 2 of them into the hall. 5th great uncle and 3rd brother also came to accompany them. After sitting down, Wang Daoyuan said, "The 2 of you came at a bad time. My master has already returned to the precious Cauldron Mountain yesterday." Lord Linhai smiled. "It's fine. We'll visit the precious Cauldron Mountain next time. The 2 of us, uncle and nephew, are here mainly for Imperial Sister. Imperial Father wants us to meet Imperial Sister. If she's willing to acknowledge her ancestors, we can give her the title of Princess. In that case, I'll call her over." With that, he sent a voice transmission to Zhou Luan, asking her to bring Go Zi and the purple gold longevity lock that his master gave him. This was the first time his nephew was meeting his uncle, who was also a prince of Zhou country and a cousin of the crown prince. Regardless of their blood relationship, as long as they could continue their seniority, a greeting gift couldn't be lacking. Since his master had given him such a good greeting gift, how could he, as an uncle, be embarrassed to give it away? Zhou Wan felt that it was a little embarrassing, but Wang Daoyuan was thick-skinned enough and didn't care at all. Under his insistence, Zhou Wan used a secret concealment technique and carried Wang Mingxian to the hall. She appeared in the hall and bowed. "Zhou Wan, the great-great-granddaughter of perfected Qi Luan, greets Your Highness Lord Linjiang and Your Highness Crown Prince. Lord Linjiang hurriedly stood up. Sister, there's no need to be so polite. Zhou Jingyuan also stood up and bowed. Jingyuan greets aunt. Wang Mingchen saw Zhou Luan bow and imitated her. He bowed and said something that no one could understand. Lord Linjiang smiled. Nephew, you're so obedient. You're so polite at such a young age. With that said, he took out a beast skin book. I heard from brother-in-law that nephew only has a fire spirit root, and might have a special constitution. Father ordered me to give cousin the Red Phoenix divine fire art, that perfected Qi Luan perfected in his later years. Among the descendants of perfected Qi Luan, there are no outstanding people. The only ones who can bring this Scarlet Phoenix divine fire art to greater heights are my cousin and little nephew. Wang Daoyuan wasn't surprised that the Zhou family gave out a cultivation technique. Zhou Luan knew this cultivation technique, but it wasn't perfect enough. For a power like the Zhou family, that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, they didn't care about their own branch inheritance being leaked. The Zhou family had many branches, and many of their cultivation techniques and spells had been leaked out long ago. However, these cultivation techniques and spells were just a drop in the ocean for the Zhou family's huge inheritance system. The direct lineage Phoenix Nirvana technique and its accompanying spells were the essence of the Zhou family's inheritance. Using the Red Phoenix divine fire art to connect with perfected Lei Yan was a win-win situation. Chapter 667. Without a doubt, this cultivation technique was the most suitable for Wang Mingchen. For the sake of her son's future, Zhou Luan did not decline. Seeing Zhou Luan accept the cultivation technique, a smile appeared on Lord Riverglint's face. Since she was willing to accept it, the rest would be easier to discuss. Lord Linjiang asked. I'm here on father's orders to ask if you're willing to acknowledge your ancestors and return to the clan? The person Lord Linjiang referred to as father was naturally the retired emperor of Zhou country. After he abdicated, he no longer cared about the affairs of the country, and only cared about the affairs of the Zhou royal family. Zhou Luan nodded. I cultivate the inheritance left behind by my ancestor, perfected Qi Luan. I'm naturally willing to acknowledge my ancestors and return to the clan. In that case, sister, please accept the imperial edict of the retired emperor. With that said, he took out a 5-colored scroll and handed it to Zhou Luan. Golden core cultivators did not need to kneel in front of the emperor, and only needed to bow. Late-stage golden core cultivators usually had the same status as the emperor of a country. Although Zhou country had a high status, it could not make a late-stage golden core cultivator kneel and accept an imperial edict. Zhou Luan took the imperial edict and opened it. The content was praising Zhou Luan, and the main content was to confer Zhou Luan the title of Princess Qingyang. Qingyang was the name of a city in Zhou country, which was the fief of perfected Qi Luan. However, Zhou Luan was already married to Wang Daoyuan. Furthermore, Wang Daoyuan was not from the Zhou nation. This fief was just an empty title. After reading the imperial edict, Zhou Luan cupped her hands towards the west and said, Thank you for your grace, retired emperor. Lord Linjiang nodded in satisfaction. According to the rules of Zhou country, His Majesty has to personally confer the title of princess. However, sister's identity is special, and it's not appropriate for you to appear in public, so the ceremony will be simple. The Crown Prince, Zhou Jingyuan, will confer the title on behalf of His Majesty. With that said, Zhou Jingyuan took out a tray from his universe ring. On it was a palm-sized jade token and a golden book. Zhou Luan's information was engraved on the jade tablet. This was a heavenly jade archive that represented the identity of a member of the royal family, which was also the identity proof of a member of the royal family. What was recorded in the golden book was that Zhou Luan had been conferred the title of Princess Qingyang. It could be considered as proof of her title. Usually, there would be a jade seal for conferring the title of princess. Although the princess's fief was not a real one, she was still the nominal monarch of this land. As a symbol of authority, the jade seal could give orders to the fief. In Zhou Luan's situation, it was impossible for her to have any power over the fief. Naturally, the jade seal would not be given. She accepted the heavenly imperial jade archive and the golden book, which meant that she accepted the title of Princess Qingyang. Then, Lord Linjiang took out a phoenix coronet and robe that belonged to the Zhou kingdom's princess. Zhou Wan took it and bowed to express her gratitude. At this point, the process of conferring the title of princess was over. Lord Linjiang then took out 2 boxes, one big and one small, and said with a smile, "This is a gift from royal brother to royal sister and little nephew. Royal sister, please don't refuse." Zhou Wan received the gift and bowed. "Thank you, royal brother." Now that Lord Linjiang and Wang Daoyuan had completed their purpose in coming to Jade Spring Peak, they began to chat with Wang Daoyuan. A few hours later, Lord Linjiang cupped his hands and said, "Brother-in-law, Jingyuan and I still have to return to report to royal brother and royal father. After that, we still have to pay a visit to the 4 top factions to thank them for helping Zhou Kingdom resist the demonic beasts. We won't stay any longer." Wang Daoyuan took out 4 storage bags. "My Qingli County is located in the wilderness and can't be compared to Zhou Kingdom. Only some hidden cloud tea can be taken out. I'll give these tea leaves to the retired emperor, His Majesty, second brother-in-law and eldest nephew." They came from afar and gave him a few precious things. If Wang Daoyuan didn't give them something in return, it would seem that he didn't know how to be polite. Lord Linjiang took the hidden cloud tea and said with a smile, "The hidden cloud tea of Qingli County is also a first-class item. Royal father and royal brother are full of praise for this item, so I won't stand on ceremony with you." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "Second brother-in-law, you're treating me like an outsider." After exchanging a few more pleasantries, Lord Linjiang and Zhou Jingyuan left. Wang Daoyuan sent them 100 miles south of Jade Spring Peak. After returning to the cave abode, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Brother-in-law, what good things did you give me?" Zhou Wan took out 2 boxes. "My ancestor, Taoist Master Qi Luan, is also famous for his artifact refinement. The gifts given by Emperor Zhou were all made by Taoist Master Qi Luan. The gift he gave me is a phoenix feather robe, which complements the red phoenix divine fire art. When people who cultivate the red phoenix divine fire art wear the phoenix feather robe, the power of their spells will be greatly increased. The gift he gave Mingxian is a red phoenix jade pendant, which is refined with phoenix blood crystals. When cultivators who cultivate the red phoenix divine fire art wear the red phoenix jade pendant, they will be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Brother-in-law is indeed a straightforward person. I didn't lose out on the hidden cloud tea I gave you. This trip to Zhou can be considered a huge profit." Zhou Wan sighed. "You're only so promising, yet you're so calculative with your relatives. I'm really afraid that Mingxian will learn bad things from you. As long as you are the ruler of a region, which one of you won't scheme against? It's just that there are big and small ones. You're from a distant branch of the Zhou clan, yet you're valued so highly by the Zhou clan. The Grand Emperor and Emperor Zhou personally gave you gifts, and Lord Linjiang and the Crown Prince personally came to visit. Isn't it because they want to use us to build a good relationship with Master? As my eldest son, Gozi will definitely be the heir of Qingli Commandery. How can he not learn these scheming things?" "Your Highness is right. I've learned my lesson. Take your son out first. I'll change into a phoenix coronet and see how it looks." Wang Daoyuan probed. "This outfit is quite troublesome to wear. Do you want me to help you?" Zhou Wan took out the golden thread demon binding rope and chuckled. "What do you think? I'd better go out for a walk." With that, she carried Wang Mingxian out of the cave abode. Although he gave away dozens of caddies of hidden cloud tea, Wang Daoyuan was still very happy. This trip to Zhou was a huge profit. The benefits he obtained from Zhou were enough to cover his losses. He even obtained 2 complete high-grade rank 4 demon beast corpses. Of course, the biggest gain was still the space of the spirit pearl. The Gui water death flame burned the rank 5 water spirit chi, and a large amount of spirit fire essence was injected into the space of the spirit pearl. The concentration of spirit chi in the space had always been higher than usual. It was only now that it had completely returned to normal. The changes brought by the spirit chi were also great. The 5 spirit veins had all risen to high-grade rank 4. And the 5 elements spirit fires in the space had also improved greatly. Among them, the Gui water death flame and the life spirit fire had both advanced to high-grade rank 4. And the other 3 spirit fires were also very close to high-grade rank 4. There were also 2 newly formed life spirit fire in the space, as well as the Scarlet One Nirvana flame, which had also reached high-grade rank 3. Both the spirit veins and spirit fires had grown. In the future, the spirit plants in the space of the spirit pearl would also have a lot of progress. The area of the space of the spirit pearl, as well as the flow of time, would also increase the speed of growth. This spirit chi tide had at least saved the space of the spirit pearl more than 10 years of growth. Wang Daoyuan carried Wang Mingqian and strolled on the Jade Spring Peak. Under his deliberate concealment, the clansmen with low cultivation couldn't discover him at all. After strolling for an hour, they returned to the cave abode. At this time, Zhou Wan had already put on the phoenix coronet. The princess's phoenix coronet was of relatively high standard. There were 4 golden phoenixes on it, and the phoenix feathers were inlaid with pearls and gems. There were also palace flower decorations around the 4 golden phoenixes, making them look bright and beautiful. The robe was red with a phoenix embroidered with golden thread. Previously, when Wang Daoyuan was conferred the title of duke, he wore a coronet and an embroidered robe. Zhou Wan was still angry, because she didn't have the coronet and robe. Now that Zhou Gua had sent it over, she naturally had to show it off. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly praised, "Her Highness is truly a celestial being. Guzi, do you still recognize this?" Wang Mingqian took a closer look and called out, "Mother." Zhou Wan was stunned at that time. After a long time, she reacted and hugged Wang Mingqian in her arms. After carrying him for more than a year and raising him for nearly a year, I finally heard him call me mother. The first sentence, you know, to call me mother. At least you have a bit of conscience, better than your heartless father. When you praise your son, do you need to step on me? Zhou Wan glanced at him. Less nonsense, put on your coronet and embroidered robe. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.